if I had to tell you who's doing it right, it's not because I'm a fan, but I think they're doing it right is Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I think they're building the right car. Just something that you're missing today is soul in cars. And I think we're all in agreement with that. I don't think anybody disagrees with you.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, the dark side of the hypercars are real serious stuff.
No one's talking about how their Wyra squeaks all the time and is uncomfortable. And
it's funny you say that. I've been in a lot of candid conversations, and most of the people that work at these manufacturers, they don't like me because I don't care. Why would I hide that? You know.
What would you say is the kind of like his question, but the biggest mistake you made in that little 4-year time period?
The biggest mistake I made was not buying my competitors.
Say that again.
Not buying my competitors.
Buying your competitors out.
Yeah, because you just never know. Like, you can be on top for so long, and you never know who's just going to pop right up, under you. I mean, it's like the Amazon, Alibaba story, or any of those big companies. Second place, Uber, Lyft. Uber did the hard lifting, right? And then Lyft comes in and it's like, hey guys,
how much is Yahoo worth?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yahoo's worth.
They could have bought Google for like $1 billion at one point.
Yahoo could have bought every single company, and they've had the opportunity to buy every single company over history, and they just said no. And that's what I did. I was Yahoo in supercar rentals for like the first. I mean, I created supercar rentals, right? Prior to 2015, in order to rent a car, you had to have like 10 forms of ID, 15 levels of insurance, and like you gave them your soul, and you had to do it for it was like a 360 Modena. It wasn't even like a real experience, right? And then we changed it into 4 hours and all this access, and we gave access to everybody that had full coverage insurance, like no deposit, unlimited miles, the works, right? And I just focused on that for so long that I didn't really see what could happen if I grew, a little bit. And then, you never know. Like the Saudi guy from, Dubai or whatever comes in. He's like, hey, I like what you're doing. I'm going to give this guy $10 million to compete with you. And then that challenge to me to fix that, right, is it consumes you, because I was the little guy that took out the industry.
Yeah, literally.
Right. Because I was innovative. And there is no innovation left, right, per se, in my industry. But that's a bad example, but if I rented you this car and the other guy's priced an Aventador the same price, what are you going to choose, right? Mm-hmm. There's someone willing to do bad business to earn a customer.
Yes,
right?
and then they destroy the market.
Correct.
What
do
you think about the concept that the Hamilton collection is doing with these cars, where they're doing 30-minute rentals?
So I know a lot about. Me and Steve are very good friends.
Yeah.
And this is not a financial gain.
Right. I figured. I guess
this is
sense.
a way, and this is part of the reason why a lot of people are in supercar rentals or any type of motor vehicle rental or any type of rental, really, for that matter, is because it's the best depreciation you can get, right? Because heavy use equals huge losses on paper, and it's great for taxes, right? And for YouTube, it's also great because you can make a lot of revenue, and all of those expenses, like buying this expensive car behind me, can all be written off at some degree, right? So it's what Steve is doing is his purpose is different than my purpose, right?
Yeah.
I'm renting you a Huracan for 4 hours because I need you to rent the car for a long enough to where there's a profit involved.
Yeah.
But if I gave it to you for 30 minutes for a fraction of the 4 hours, you would drive the car as hard as physically possible in 30 minutes, and you would pay the least amount of money possible. So I don't think that business model makes any sense.
Yeah. I don't think he really needs the money, huh?
No, I mean, like I said,
what would be his purpose even fucking doing that? Doing the 30-minute
They do all sort of crazy stuff.
They do.
So, they just have fun. The dude just uses the cars like they're meant to be used. It's kind of cool.
Steve's not a car guy.
Not at all.
He likes the cars.
Yeah.
But he's not a car guy. It's not.
He didn't have a Lotus that he worked on in his garage.
Yeah, he was.
I had a Lotus.
Yeah, it's the best car ever. I have one in the back sitting over there.
Whoa, don't get crazy.
It's the best car ever.
Don't get crazy.
There's not a single car out there that you can have more enjoyment out of than a Lotus Exige.
You have another Exige back there?
I have a 2010 final edition car, yeah.
So explain. Go ahead. Why?
it's challenging for you because of your size.
He's not wrong.
He wouldn't fit.
It's quite big inside, right? But I mean, the DNA, the British DNA in every car, you had a 720, right? That DNA stemmed from Lotus. That whole thing came from Lotus.
It's my favorite car, 720.
Yeah, I mean, the 720, it's a cool car. You know, once they start mass producing anything, they become overrated, right? And I've seen all your guys' clips about what's overrated and what's not overrated. But like when you get into a Lotus and you really think about what 1,800 to 2,000 pounds with 300 horsepower really is, and you can push, the thing is that you can use the car to its full potential, 10-10, every time you get in that car. And that makes you feel like a superhero. And it's just the most engaging experience you'll ever have in your whole life.
Is that what the final edition pushes, like 300?
320 something, yeah.
Like, that's got to be perfect for that car.
Yeah, well, you know, you do a little bit of a tune, remap, and you're at 400.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really where it's like...
400 at 2,000 pounds,
That's stupid. That's crazy.
ridiculous.
That's cracked out for sure.
Prior to the pandemic, I built a Lotus Exige with a turboed K20. The car weighed, I had a weight scale thingy without me in it, 1,720 pounds ish, and it made 700 horsepower to the wheels. I drove it one time. I went down the street here.
Piss yourself.
I went up like to where the Raider Stadium, it wasn't there yet, but where they were going to build it. And I turned around and I said, I will never drive this car again. Because you cannot stop a 1,700 pound car at any level without it going like this. Like you hit the brakes, you know, the inertia, it's just
too much.
It's just too light, you know?
Yeah. I think you kind of just, I hope I'm looking at my future here, Houston, because like the Koenigsegg and then just the, you know, fun guy Exige in the back. I was looking at Elise's and Exige's again online just literally last week because I was just thinking about mine. And I had an interesting experience with mine, but I'm still just, part of me thinks that, you know, when I can have 10 cars, that's got to be one of the 10.
I promise you that there's no other car out there that you need. You know, look past the badges and the price tags and everything, right? I tell everybody that the Agera RS specifically is my soulmate.
Yeah.
I'm a different kind of car guy. And it's funny because when we're talking about Steve Hamilton hates the Agera. He hates it. And we swapped. I took his Chiron for a little while. He took my old Agera, which is Stradman's current car now, the HH. And he got out of that car and he's like, I would never buy this car. And I said, you know, it's funny because I would never buy a Chiron, right? And he's like, I love this Chiron. And I'm like, you know, I understand why you like it. If the seats were a little bit more comfortable and they were like a little bit more cushiony, I could take this car every day to work. I wouldn't have a problem with that. You know, I would, if I was very wealthy, I would choose this car over a Bentley, right? If I only needed the two seats,
Sure.
You know, but if I were to take my wife out and I wanted to go to a nice dinner, okay, Chiron, cool. But if I wanted to go out with the boys and have a good time, the Chiron is the last car I would take.
Yeah.
Ego aside, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you're the rich guy in your group and you want to be the, you know, the big dog every time, okay, take your Bugatti. But like, you'll have a 1,000 times better experience in a manual transmission Mercy or Gallardo or one of those older Lambos that break every time you drive it, right? There's just so much drama involved. And, you know, even like there's a 2001 6.0 Diablo. You know, there's 320 something of those cars in the whole world. It's the only year they made the 6.0. It's basically half Lamborghini, half Audi. It's the weirdest car Lamborghini ever made. Super rare. But it's like, it sounds great. It feels like Lamborghini. It brakes like Lamborghini, kinda. And it's just like the perfect amount of drama. Mm-hmm. You know, those cars used to be like $150,000, right? Now they're like $800 to $1 million because people figured it out, right?
Yeah.
Lotuses used to be 20 grand. Now they're like 80.
It's crazy.
People figured it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you see those cars keep shooting up at all, or no? You think they're going to
absolutely?
Yeah.
The thing is,
whatever the fuck he's referencing.
The Lotus.
He just talked about like 3 different cars. So.
That one's the Lotus.
But the Lotus, it goes up. I mean, they're going to go up forever. And the reason they go up forever is because once you buy your Huracan and you realize that, wow, this is an evolution of the R35, right? It's the car that everybody wants to own, enjoys it, but is just bored. That's why there's 3,000 horsepower R35s out there, because it takes 3,000 horsepower to scare you. 2,000 horsepower, plenty of James's videos out there of him driving his 2,000 horsepower R35. And yeah, he's like, oh crap, this is fast, but it's not like it's just so monotone. It's monogamous, right? It's a very weird experience to drive a very fast car. And then the Huracan was the perfect evolution of that car, right? It was the Lamborghini version of a Toyota Corolla. And that's what it is. And I know people say that all the time. I've been saying that since 2016, right? Or 15, whenever they came out. It's just something that you're missing today is soul in cars. And I think we're all in agreement with that. I don't think anybody disagrees with you.
You'd be surprised.
You would be surprised.
You would be
be
surprised.
surprised.
I mean, what argument could one make that a new car is better than an old car?
Well, so just think about how you described yourself in comparison to like Steve. And what I'm realizing is I'm you and you're Steve. So that's the first thing. Everything we argue about is what he just described, the difference between them. But I think that's the biggest thing. You have people that enjoy just going really fast, really comfortable. I want to be kind of uncomfortable. I want it to be some work. I want there to be drama. Like I want to feel all those things. Some people, they just don't want that. I don't know. I don't understand it. It doesn't sound like you understand.
We had a guest on that we shot with literally last night, who his entire thing is like how the hybrid system and everything is like the way to go,
The best
and
thing
how
that's,
amazing
like,
it is for
happening
the
in
car experience. You want to out him out?
Well, I mean, that he said it. That episode's going to release.
Yeah, that's true.
Clement
Your episode
Connor?
released before his, but is Clement Connor over at Fastlane Drive?
I know who the Fastlane Drive. I don't know Clement though.
Yeah, he's the owner
He
and
started
founder,
Fastlane
French
Drive.
guy.
Did you smack him?
I didn't disrespect him on camera. That's my guy. But but it was one of those things where we had a little bit of an argument because he was trying to tell me how his Revelto experience is so much better than any SVJ experience could give. And I was just kind of telling him, I said, well, that's just basically on the basis of what you like. He enjoys that dynamic of being quiet and then getting loud and then going fast. I'm just want all rip, all sound.
Okay,
single
I totally
clutch.
agree with that. I mean, I think the 918 does a really good job of that.
Right.
Right. But it's not, the 918 is not a Revuelto. Ironically, you say that. I had a Revuelto yesterday that was purchased a few months ago and it just couldn't make it out of the dealer until yesterday. Finally got out of the dealer. The first place I drove it was another dealer willing to pay for it. I mean, I drove the car yesterday about 30 miles, and I just couldn't see myself driving it any longer. I had plenty of errands to run yesterday. I did not want to be in the car. I didn't like it. It sounds absolutely horrendous. Now, yeah, of course, go take it over to Alex or anybody that's doing Rift or anybody that's doing these fancy exhausts, and yeah, they're going to make it sound better. But I don't want to have to spend money on my $800,000 car to fix a problem that shouldn't exist. That should be problem number one, or issue number one with these new cars. If I don't care who you are, okay, stand toe to toe with me in a ring. Let's talk about it right now. The Ferrari F80 is a complete and utter failure of the future of the entire car generation.
You're spot on, Houston.
I love it.
Spot on.
It's 799 people are gonna basically just they drank the Kool-Aid, and I can't be as disrespectful as I want to be on camera because it'd be too vulgar. But like the LaFerrari was probably the greatest hypercar of our generation.
Easily.
If I scored all of the hypercars across the board, in my opinion, I think the LaFerrari would score the highest. It is a 1,000 horsepower 458 Speciale. Right? It is the best car ever created, ever.
Sounds
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of those
I'm
beautiful things.
Like I said,
Design
I'm a
language.
Koenigsegg. I'm a Koenigsegg. I mean, I'm like part of the family, full and full. Like you can't get me out of that place.
You got
Yeah.
the sweater,
But
the hat on.
the LaFerrari does things that these cars will never do, right? And it's just I cannot believe they replaced that car 10 years later with everything they learned. First of all, it looks terrible, but with the V6
I think the SP3 would have been a better like
Hell yeah.
successor.
that I thought was the successor.
I thought it was
of the
too, and then
LaFerrari.
they just said it wasn't.
I thought it was. I don't hate the way the SP3 looks. I definitely don't think the LaFerrari is a timeless car.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Enzo is a timeless car. The F50 is a little subjective. It's growing on me quite a bit.
I love it.
I didn't like the F50 originally. I owned an F40 for a while, and that was the biggest disappointment I ever personally had.
Really?
Because it was a very poor driving experience, and it was very uncomfortable, and it wasn't. I don't know. I think the F40. I just expected something different.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a
You
problem.
expected the pinnacle, huh?
Yeah, I just expected something different. Like I got in the car, I floored it, and I was like, "This is it? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?" And like you physically couldn't drive the car.
I do think I'd fit.
No
Impossible.
way. I mean, I was so tight in that car. I was uncomfortable. I mean, just very, very crazy. Like to have a 1400 production number range, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Right. I was really, really surprised. The F50 I heard was quite better. I've never experienced an F50. That's a car that I should have earlier on.
V12. The F40 is a V8, right?
The F40 is a twin turbo V8, and the F50 is the V12.
Yeah.
And I really think I just dropped the ball because I always saw them and I thought they were just weird looking, a little small, disproportionate. But as I gotten
Very
older,
disproportionate. That's what throws me off about the car.
yeah, as I got older, I almost bought an Enzo, and I bought the 918 instead of the Enzo, just basically because it was new, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just a cooler car to me, right? I don't know if I was right or wrong. I never got to push the Enzo, but everything that Ferrari's done after they dropped Pininfarina was
It's fucked.
It's terrible.
It's absolutely. But that's the whole thing. You said
That's
it
what
from the
they're doing.
beginning. Is it's drinking the Kool-Aid. They're making this game for all these men to play, and everyone's doing this crazy thing. And to the point they realize they got to the finish line, and your finish line trophy is this fucking 800 production number Lego car that they brought to life.
It's funny you say that. That's what I said to my children.
That's what I
I
literally.
said this, they took
been
the
saying
Lego
this since day
version.
one.
They took the Lego version of whatever car it looked like the SP3-ish, and they were like, "Oh, this looks good,"
I've never understood why the Lego versions of cars are so bad.
Yeah, they are really
You look
bad.
at like anything else, you take the Empire State Building Lego or some like Harry Potter kit, it's perfect down to the detail.
Yeah.
And then you take a
Supercar.
Ferrari Lego kit and it looks like a transformer that's
How do you get those-
midway through its
How do you get those
transformation.
body lines on those fucking square blocks?
Oh, they make custom
Yeah,
blocks.
they do. Yeah,
What do you mean?
it sucks.
Yeah.
But that's why I think at this point in my life, right, there's nothing exciting in the future. I think I've covered the top 10 cars on Earth, right? I would like to buy a Zonda one day. I should have back, a long time ago. But the problem is I wasn't really financially able to like hold on to it. If it went up from like 4 million where it was like 7-8 years ago to like 8, I would have had to sell it. I'd be like, wow, that's just too much money. Now they're like 15, right? So I'd like to earn enough
That's how
money.
much they are?
Yeah, I mean, it just they trade a lot.
If you can get one.
If they trade. Oh,
They trade a lot behind closed doors, and
sure.
not a lot of people understand how much those cars actually cost. But there is one December 1st being auctioned off in Dubai at the Dubai auction. So we'll see publicly what is available for the Zonda, and it's
Yeah.
a 760 car. It's a nice car. It's considered like almost like a Cinque, right? Like Dan's cars or whatever. But
Amazing.
I wish I would have gotten one of those because I think that it's going to take a lot of effort for me to earn enough money to be able to spend $15 million on a car, right?
Yeah.
And that would have to be like probably like after you have like every other car, right?
The
You have to-
Zonda might be my favorite overall design of all time.
I like
Visually.
it a lot.
It's
I like the Zonda.
insane.
I don't like the 760s. I had a Wyra. It had Tempesta on it. It was a 14 coupe. It's currently listed on DuPont Registry. The guy I sold it to is selling it. And it was Randy Tillum's old car. And it was a very disappointing car also. Unique experience. I think if I get to a point to where I start making a little bit more money and I'm going to start taking those cars and doing what I think should have been done with them, with the body lines and all the crazy stuff and the engines and the gearbox setups. I think I'm going to start doing that stuff because I think like really there's no way to go forward. And it's not really everybody's fault. It's regulation.
So you mean
slash
like
this.
like swapping the transmission on a Wyra? Is that what you're talking? That's what you're talking about?
I personally would put the Zonda powertrain in the Wyra, the NAV12, because the car is already slow, right? The Wyra is like weirdly, it's got 700 horsepower, but it doesn't have any traction at all. It doesn't make any sense. Like I straight piped mine and tuned it. And so like mine was even worse. At least it made fun noises, but like exhaust noises, but it just drove so bad. The seat was really uncomfortable. The interior of the car just squeaked like crazy. And it was just so nice looking. I liked the way it looked.
It's the dark side of the hypercars that
It
people
is,
don't
right?
talk about.
Yeah, the dark side of the hypercars are real serious stuff.
No one's talking about how their Wyra squeaks all the time and is uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
How it's slow as shit.
because why would
when
you
it gets
you
to-
spent $5 million on a car? Why would you go on Instagram and be like, this car squeaks and it kind of sucks?
It's funny you say that. I've been in a lot of candid conversations, and most of the people that work at these manufacturers, they don't like me because I don't care. Why would I hide that? You know, I will never drink your Kool-Aid. If you want to make a product, and it sucks. The past 10 years have been just a glorious, climb to the heavens, right? Of supercars and money, and everybody's got all this stuff and sold out here, sold out there. Okay, cool. Well, when that doesn't happen, don't forget 2010, right? When they were slotted to make 350 Murcielago SVs, and they didn't even cross the 200 mark.
That's insane.
So they couldn't fulfill 350 unit production in 2010 because the economy was so bad, right?
You think we'll ever get back to a point like that?
Hell yeah. What goes up must come down.
That part I agree with.
I don't know if it's 10 years from now, right? I'm real excited that Trump won. I feel like I spent a lot of my time and effort helping that work here in Nevada, right? I feel like we could change a lot of stuff in America, and a lot of the EPA and all this weird stuff we've got going on could adjust, right? I think this is a very pinnacle point for our society. Usually every 500 years, the world resets, right? We got the Roman Empire, boom, they hit the reset button and the whole thing exploded. And we had to get all from the ground up again, right? And we could be very close to facing that, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening in society that could change, and a lot of it has to do with fossil fuels and a whole bunch of stuff, but
Stuff that the everyday person doesn't even know that's happening.
of course not.
our gas is about to go up. You know that?
Yeah.
What is our
California's
little
going
tax
up
that we
from
got?
taxes.
Yeah, CARB just passed some things. They're estimating like
Because they're
35
adjusting
to
to what Trump's gonna
45 cent increase.
Yeah. I
And
heard
apparent-
65 cents.
65
That's
cents.
what I heard.
So
In addition to base fuel,
Some-
not like 65 cents from today. Like if fuel goes up, it's 65 cents on top
Of market.
of market.
apparently some leak behind like the CARB closed doors. Their goal is to make gas so expensive that they force you to buy electric.
Yeah, but the charging network is powered by fuel.
Right. Natural gas.
Can someone explain that to me?
We can't frack for what charges the Teslas.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why the
power
whole
grid in
system is-
California can't even charge Teslas as it is.
No, that's why the whole system is fucked up.
You have rolling blackouts in the summer. They have to turn the power off to certain areas so that it doesn't explode. But then we want to
Thankfully,
charge every
I have
single
not
thing.
ever experienced.
Southern California doesn't
A
typically
rolling
have
blackout.
that. It's more like Calabasas and up,
Yeah.
right? Where the farmlands and stuff are, because there's a little weaker power grid.
Don't touch
Ventura
Sherman Oaks.
County and shit
Sherman
like
Oaks
that.
is safe.
No, Sherman Oaks, you're chilling. Are you kidding me?
Our
Yeah.
taxes
You got
are
way-
high enough
yeah,
to
you-
cover that.
You got way too many people that are important
Yeah.
over there. They wouldn't
But
be
like,
able
I
to
feel
do
like
shit like
Too
that.
many high
These-
taxpayers. Don't touch them.
These are things that no one's talking about, no one's thinking about, and the people that we elect for the county commissioner and the mayor and this and that, it's fucking stupid. They don't have any clue. I mean, most of the people don't read into politics enough or any problems in our society to even understand what the root cause is. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but we added a $5,000 tariff to German cars, right? And I don't know the exact specific tariff and what it was called, but it didn't raise the price $5,000 of the Mercedes GLC. It basically forced Mercedes to build a plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they now produce those cars there. So we just added 5,500 jobs, right? Because we basically assessed this tariff that if they would have kept making them over there, it would have been complicated. So instead, they said, the market's big enough. Let's build a factory here. And let's make them in America, right? So that improved so much of our GDP and all this stuff and trade and everything. Like, we need to really think about what this is from the ground up. Now, everybody's going to hate on me because they go on the internet and they check on what all these people say and they read the first 3 lines and then they call it a day. They won't spend the 900 pages to understand the solution.
No, it's the
or
face
problem.
value. It's what's being presented to them.
Yeah,
Nobody will
it's-
look further
it's a
than that.
thumbnail.
Most people that
they
love
work off thumbnails.
most people that love supercars that would be
Clickbait.
listening to something like this probably align with you.
Listen, you guys can think about politically, religious, all the stuff. Anybody, they can do whatever they want. But you can't complain, right? You could believe in Scientology, dude. Okay? The craziest shit out there doesn't matter to me. But you cannot complain if you do not understand the problem. That's the only thing.
It's your own damn
and
fault.
The same thing with Ferrari, with all these guys. You cannot complain if you don't understand the problem, right? When Ferrari went public, they now have shareholders. The only way to impress the shareholders is to make more money. And when you have shareholders, you're their bitch, right? And that's just the way the world works, okay? Because that's just what happens, right? We design the system to be like that.
Yeah.
So Ferrari has to sell cars to people who want to finance them, lease them, right? And who probably don't really want a Ferrari, but like will get one because it's easy.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you appeal to that? You have to appeal to the younger generation. And appealing to the younger generation, that's a larger generation than the older generation. And the older generation has less shit now because they're old. So the only way to make these cars cool is to appeal to people who haven't had them yet, because they don't know. And they're probably not going to buy a manual Murcielago, right? Someone that's looking for a Roma isn't the buyer for a 10, 15, 20-year-old
Absolutely
supercar
not
with
the
a
Roma.
manual gearbox, right? They want the cool buttons on the steering wheel that have tactic feedback, right? I grabbed that and both of my fucking palms hit both sides of the volume button. It's like, what just happened? Whole car just shut down. You know? That just drives me nuts.
It's too plug and play. It's because, again, that's just the way the world is working. It's shifting towards.
And it's okay. If I own that business, I would probably have to make that problem or that solution, or sorry, I'd have to make the decision too.
Yeah.
You know, Christian, I have beliefs about his company that probably don't align with his. I'm a consumer, right? So did I agree with the Regera? No. It's funny because there's probably a plan to change that. There's probably a plan to take the Regera and to fix it, right? Because I truly believe that car was a huge dent in their like. I don't really want to say it like too negative, but just it was like a dent in their armor. You know, it's like the Regera was kind of a fail, considering though the Wyra, right, was just an evolved it from like 2014 to 2024, just 10 years of making it look different. It's a simple sauce. People that bought the first one wanted the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. The Aventador, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Didn't have to do anything else with the engine, the gearbox, and stuff from the Agera. This was a masterpiece, right? But then they spent a cajillion dollars to fix it, and it wasn't broken. And then they have to spend money to do the next one because that one didn't sell. And it's just such a complicated problem for manufacturers. And it's hundreds of millions of dollars to build a car.
Yeah.
And you're talking about manufacturer on the highest scale. When you scale down, it's the same story. I feel like everybody's missing the mark on what, I think we actually talked about this the other day, what the enthusiast, what the real car enthusiast wants. Like you said, the whole hybrid setup, everything, the way it's
They had
going.
to scrap the 3-cylinder for the Gemera
Yeah.
because I think
Well,
like 2 people wanted it.
There's probably more. The 3-cylinder existed for the Chinese market. I don't think the Gemera should have been made at all.
Really?
I really don't. I think that, and I don't know anything about the inside in and outs of the decisions that go on there, but the Gemera doesn't make sense. You know, like you built, this is my 2 cents. And this goes for everything. All right. As a YouTube content creator, I got my big following from filming royalty. And all the following came from the big wreck videos and stolen cars and all the stuff and the wild stuff that I did.
Sure.
And after the pandemic ended, no one really was stealing cars anymore. The clientele that was doing that, they don't have money now and they don't come to Vegas, right? The clientele changed. So the content changed. I'm not faking people taking off with my stuff, right? And I'm not faking all this, right? So it's like I can't make that natural content. So my views go from 400,000 average a video to 100,000 because I still got some cool people that like to watch what I do, no matter really what it is. But like I can't make the content you subscribe for. I feel the same about manufacturers, right? I feel like I subscribed at the CCX level, 2007, 2008 Koenigsegg. The Agera was like an immense evolution of the CCX. It was like the angels, you know, came down and blessed the CCX and fixed every problem with it. And then they made the Agera. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest car ever made. And then the RS came out and they just it's just fucking thick. I mean, it's just unbelievable looking car to me, right?
Oh, it's
the
gorgeous.
arrow, the intakes, everything, and it's like holy shit, right? And then like it was raw. The purpose behind it was just to go fast. We just want to go fast. We want to go faster than everybody, right? And we want to make that a point that we can get there faster. We can do it safer, and we can make it easier to go fast, right? Those three principles in my mind were what built this brand. And then pop out the fucking Regera. Like, we want to go fast, but really comfortable. And we don't want you to have to do a lot of work. And we want to make the doors open automatically and the back open automatically. And we want to have Apple CarPlay. And we want to do like everything that like a regular car can do, but we want to do it at a $4 million level. Why? Right? Now you just have all this stuff that's got to break because you don't have $1 billion to engineer all these little details, right? And so majority of the Regeras don't really work. Some do every once in a while, and most guys are just scared shitless of these cars, okay? Which then in turn, obviously they had to pivot back to their original principles, and we have the Jesco, right? But there were so many problems with the Regera that when they released the Jesco, it took them so long to make one because, well, the pandemic didn't help. But like they had to revert their entire philosophy back to the original one. And the Jesco is the best evolution of that car. I don't know if the gearbox is going to work because that's really insane tech. 9 clutches, 9 all these things, no flywheel, like sounds really high level, okay? But it's not a hybrid, doesn't have battery assist. It's got wicked cool suspension. It's got an amazing engine, right? The interior is simple. It's the perfect evolution of this car. So they lost like 6 years of their life, right?
Fuck around, yeah, with the
Fucking around trying to make it cool. No, we didn't need to make it cool. We just need to make more of these because these all sold out. Like the Regera is it's a very beautiful car, but I would buy that one for my wife, right? I don't know if I'd have that one for myself. And funny enough, that's the one Steve Hamilton likes. So prove my point directly. We have exactly opposite car taste.
Yeah.
He likes what my wife likes, and I like men's cars. Like the man one.
They got a formula that works.
They had it.
Keep doing
it's
it.
the best formula ever.
But then the problem is you take like supply and demand and stuff like that into consideration as a manufacturer. They can't just keep pumping out fucking the same type of thing. They have to change it up. They have to conform. They have to do what they have to do.
Well, you take the formula and you just you make each piece better.
Do you know
you
how
don't,
many Agueras
you
there
don't
are?
change pieces.
I understand that.
I mean, do you know?
How many?
Can you just guess? Just based on your random guess, based on your knowledge of the car industry.
Agueras?
How many Agueras do you think are in the world?
75.
20.
You're closer. 68.
68.
That's 1-to-1s. That's the S, the R, the RS, FE. And I mean, there could be like 70, right, that are not on the registry or something like that, right? 2 or 3 of them here that are disappearing, in some country that we're not allowed to go to, right? There could be a lot of those cars, right? Because those classes have a lot of money too. But that's not a lot of people, dude.
No, not a lot at all.
Pagani makes like 80 cars in their run, right? And then they make like 10 special ones. Ferrari is making 800 $4 million F80s. They're making like 15,000 other cars, right? Every, run or whatever they do. It's when you're a boutique manufacturer, you get to set your own rules because you got like 100 people that want these cars. And it's like a couple, like 8 billion people in the world, like 100 people. And there's new people all the time, right? There's like new billionaires made like whatever every couple months that could be a new customer for you, right? Like, so you got to think like how often you really need to advertise or change your principles. Is there a company out there that's just been doing the same old thing forever, right? Not really, but like Porsche's kind of that example. The 911 has not changed since the 60s.
It hasn't fucking changed.
And it's not going to. And they sell all of them. They're all worth a lot of money. Before, they never really break. And people love every little dot iteration of it. Dot 1, dot 2. They could just make like dot 10. Just keep going.
Because they just make it a little better every time.
They could just like change the wheel design to
I don't know if it's
this
better.
just a little bit.
I don't know if I call it better. It's different. I don't know if I call it better though.
It's just
They make it a little faster every time.
it doesn't even
Is that
matter
better for you?
Yeah, thank
It doesn't even matter what it is. They could make a new color range. They could release the purple edition or the green edition and not offer that color to the first 200 people or 200,000 people that bought it. There's so many ways to continue to maintain clients. I mean, look at your shoes. You guys are all have fancy shoes on, right? I got fancy shoes on. I got like 100 pairs of these stupid shoes. They're all different. They all look different, but it's the same shoe. I'm still going to buy the same shoe. If those came in red, you'd buy them too, right? So it's like we overcomplicate everything in our world, and we think that like the numbers on paper make the most difference to clients, and it's not, right? You want to have your Aventador is very expensive. It's got to be reliable, right? It's got to sound good, right? And it's got to do what you expect it to do when you buy it, right? If you miss the mark on one of those three things, you're just going to be upset with the car and you're not going to want it, right?
Very much so.
So I just want it to be fast and fun. Does
Yeah.
it?
So let me ask you this.
2.8 to 2.4 to 2.9 to 3.2. Who cares?
I
to me?
agree. I agree.
The experience.
Yeah.
That's all we care about.
800
at the end.
horsepower to 900 to 1,000.
What do you think is the reasoning for like a boutique manufacturer like Koenigsegg to try to shift their like exactly what they did with the Agera to the Regera?
Ego.
That's it.
Yeah. Ego.
Ego in what sense?
To say I can. I think Christian's too smart. I think he's absolutely just too smart. It's a problem. You know, it's kind of like sometimes I feel like I'm sitting around people and I'm having a conversation and not supposed to be there, right? I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying I'm in the wrong place, right? And I feel like Christian feels like that sometimes because this philosophy is simplistic. The one that works for his brand is simple. And I think he's so smart that he's his own worst enemy because he wants to show everybody that he can create something that the big boys can't. The dark matter here, the this, the that. And it's like, I think he's just too smart. And that causes the downfall of business decisions sometimes, right? And I don't know their finances. I don't know anything about that company. From the outside looking in as a business owner, I can't see how building the Gemera and a $700 million factory to build it makes financial sense, right? It's like the Mexican fisherman story that everybody talks about on the internet. Why would you do that if you already have it, right? We're going to spend 10 years to just go back to the original to where I have the freedom, the time, and to tinker. I personally think Christian could do the special projects like the Regera. Now, I don't know what it actually costs to build the Regera, but I do know that there's people out there, like the guy that owns a Chimera, right? He's the F1 president. And I had a conversation with him about a week ago. He came to town for some F1 stuff. And that guy's like the coolest Koenigsegg owner ever. He's got more Koenigsegg's than anybody. He's like super cool. He paid to have a special car built for him. You know, Agera RS body, Jesco engine, the CC850 gearbox, and mash up the most amazing creation of history, right? I think there's enough guys out there that Christian could use his skill set and his talent to like create something one off or five off or few off, whatever you call it, and charge $10 million for that car. Bugatti charges $7-8 million for a rebodied Chiron. Why couldn't Christian charge 5, 8, 10, 12, fuck 20 million? Who cares? The boat tail's $20 million from Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Right?
Unbelievable.
And I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you could sell that, why does it matter?
Right.
Right? The
If there's
coach
a marketplace
builders have
for
been
it,
doing
no
this
matter,
for
yeah.
years. Like, why can't you sit down and talk to some of your big guys and be like, look, I'm going to make you a car. I'm going to put your name on it, right? I've got these great ideas. Let's implement them there. And they drop you 20 mil, 4 or 5 guys to build you have $100 million for 5 cars. You could build any technology you want. And it probably doesn't have to meet the same emissions requirements, same, level of standards for safety and testing and everything if they're few off.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that for sure because I'm not a manufacturer, but that just seems like a better business model, right? The guys who cannot afford a $20 million car like me will be way happier paying for this car when I get to turn it on every morning and it drives away, right? There's not a single day where I drive this car where the engine light's not on. And it could come on and go off and go on and go off and then this and that. And then there's a little turtle comes on the dash and it's like, it's confused sometimes, You turn it off, you let it reset, it's fine, right? It's kind of like an original iPhone. It kind of doesn't work sometimes, But
That's the
McLaren.
fun of it.
Yeah,
That's what you're looking for.
I'm looking for 10% drama, 90% exhilaration, right? That's kind of like the manual. Mercy is more like 60% exhilaration, 35% drama and 5%. I don't know what the fuck happened. That's really what that car is, you know? And it's like, that's a cool experience, right? And that's what people are paying for now.
For sure.
I think the problem with everything is everything demands and everybody expects consistent change.
That's just because that's the way they portray it.
That's the way the world works.
But that's just because that's the way they show it, right? People, after the past 5 years, you can say with 100% certainty, you can say anything you want and people will believe it. It doesn't matter. If we keep saying that we need to break the speed record, the little comments will ask you to break the speed record every time you make a post.
And it's the people that aren't buying the car.
Of course. And it'll consume you.
Those dudes that care, they're not buying the car.
No.
Some of them might.
They'll
There
never
might
buy
be a
car.
billionaire that doesn't care about cars. It's like, I got the fastest car, whatever. But
Look, I think that at the end of the day, there's no reason not to, voice your opinion. But if your opinion is something that's unbased, right, or bias, it's hard to take that serious. And I think a lot of people take it serious. And I think you can see the pivots from a lot of the manufacturers. We all went hybrid, electric, right? We all went hybrid and then they went electric because of Tesla, right? Elon set the narrative that Teslas are cool. And because Tesla, everybody's trying to compete with Tesla. But Tesla is not a good car. It's a good marketing company. And they always have been. I'm the biggest Elon fan because he's just marketing. That's all he is. Whatever he says goes. He got people to give him hundreds of millions of dollars, and he hasn't built shit that he says he's going to build yet because he probably doesn't have the tech to do what he said, right? And that's okay. That's the few offs that I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. But the guy builds a basic car that has, I don't know, the quality of a 1995 S-Class. Probably less, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. Early 90s was
those cars are still on the road.
Yeah. Early 90s was transitional tech, right?
Right.
And it's everybody lines up to buy it. He lowers the price from 160 to 80. Everybody loses half of their money like that. Mm-hmm. And they're still buying. I have a friend who he has a Huracan Technica. He's always got a Huracan or some kind of Lamborghini, right? And he has this Model S Plaid. His favorite car ever, and I see why, because it does things for him the autopilot and the cool stuff and the silence. He leaves at 5 a.m. There's a lot of benefits for that car for him. His situation. It's got its cool stuff, right? He paid $163,000 for that car when the Plaid first came out.
Oh my gosh.
He owes I think 115 or 108. The car's trading value is $55,000, and the second he's got it for sale for I think 70 or something. And he's like, I'm just gonna sell it. And I'm like, what are you gonna get next? He's like, another Plaid. I'm like, wow. He's just willing to take it again. And I'm just thinking to myself,
there's no way.
I swear to God, he's he loves the car that much. He's willing to. He's not even rich.
Well, people do this on Range Rover leases.
No, but Range
every
Rover
every 2 years.
That's a whole different dynamic though, because you might get the same Range
when
Rover
you
in
lease a
4-year
car.
period.
You can add it up. How much you're going to lose? It's not variable.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, my payment's $2,500 for 36 months times this. Okay, I'm losing this much money to drive it this many miles.
Mm-hmm. It's very true.
You have to look at okay, it's going to cost me $84,000 for 3 years, and I'm going to get 22,500 miles. So divide the math. How much are you paying to drive that car every single mile? A lease is very factual.
Yeah.
And Tesla controls their market
When
price
you
whenever
buy
they
a
want.
Tesla and you pay finance or you pay cash for it, that thing can be worth $20,000 or $200,000 or $80,000. No one knows because the owner of the company can just change the fucking price whenever he wants. It's it's actually like mental warfare, right? And I think it's so cool because I feel like he does it on purpose.
Yeah,
just to fuck with people.
He does because he does whatever he wants.
And now this year, you've heard all General Motors and Ford, they're all bringing back their EV programs because Ford, their camp is the F-150. They're selling 900,000 F-150s a month or something wild. And they're selling 21,000 Lightnings a month compared to 900,000 gas cars, right? Mm-hmm. It's it doesn't make any sense. Because there's no charging network in rural Alabama.
There's no infrastructure.
There's no infrastructure, and there never will be.
Tesla's the only one that's...
The average lot time for electric cars for the legacy manufacturers is over a year.
It has to be. I have a Hummer EV. My wife loves electric cars, right? So she wanted a Hummer EV. I ordered the Escalade IQ, right?
That looks like a bitchin' car though.
It's a cool car.
Yeah.
But it's 160 and it'll be 80 in an hour. I'm going to have to give them $80,000 and then they're going to be like, okay, cool, here's your car. You know, and I'll still owe them 80,000 more. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's wild how fast they depreciate because there's no secondary market demand, right? Warranty companies haven't figured out how to produce a warranty that can make people feel comfortable.
Right.
Right. So the second they're out of warranty, like they freak out, like Fisker drama. I don't know if you've heard about the whole drama there,
Yeah.
right?
Wait, the first time or the second time?
The second time. But yeah, but what happens when a company goes bankrupt? You get, I don't know how many cars they have on the road, like 50,000 cars on the road, and you can't buy parts, you can't get a warranty, you can't do anything. So now this car that was $65,000 6-7 months or whatever, right before they went bankrupt, is now worth like $15,000.
I just don't know how he got investors a second time around.
Well, I can tell you that people are very stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what blows me away.
99% of them.
Yeah.
They're very stupid.
The guy
But
knows.
you also have to think there's government money there too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, a lot
And
with
like
the electrical
whole,
cars,
the
a lot of
Chinese-
funding there.
There's a
funded?
lot, but Elon talked about this. I'm not going to say this the right way, but there was like a program that was like for electric car manufacturers that they got all these green energy credits, and then those energy credits were
Subsidies
sellable
and
to other
shit.
people that didn't have the fossil fuel companies, and so they were like exchanging energy credits for money, and it was a really big drama.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the Fisker, Henrik Fisker, he can design a beautiful car.
obviously,
Cannot-
look at
cannot
the
hurt.
Aston Martin Vantage.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
I drive.
You know, to be honest with
Beautiful
you, every Fisker is nice looking,
Yeah.
right?
One of the best four-door looking cars I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, the first Fisker, the Karma,
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Well, the Fisker, right?
The Fisker
before,
Karma.
before the Karma.
Before the Karma Rivero.
No, yeah,
First,
like,
it was the Fisker, and then the Karma was the model name,
that's correct.
and then
yes,
and then
the
they
brand
changed the
became
brand
Karma, and
name
then it was
to
Rivero.
Karma.
Yeah, sorry. That car had a solar panel on the roof that, with a full day of charging, would give you like 4 miles, something like that. You know?
Great marketing.
Yeah.
It's a solar panel on the roof.
Yeah, yeah. And if you own one of those
Kiss
cars
my
now,
ass.
you just have to take it to the junkyard.
Yeah, for real. It's worthless at that fucking
It's
point.
completely worthless.
Yeah, yeah,
Had this
they're
like
not worth it.
had this like shield thing in the middle. I remember that car.
They're
But
pretty though. Jeez.
they are, right? But that guy never had to do an electric car. He could have made regular gas engine cars, you know, and just been totally fine,
Mm-hmm.
and probably would have had a good business.
Well, look at Porsche. You know, every however many years they take a car, they go, "Hey, we made it lighter and put a manual in it. It costs double," and they sell out.
One thing about Porsche too is they're really investing in alternative fuel, right? Because the gas is the problem, not the combustion engine, right? So combustion is okay, it's the fuel that's the problem. So we just have to fix the fuel, right? That's the next thing that we need to do for our society is invest in fuel, you know, or a different way to power the cars. We don't have to have lithium ion batteries that are, you know, the problem with lithium ion is not recyclable, basically, right? We can't do anything with it. We have lithium mines that are causing mass chaos, right? There's just huge deposits. It takes so much energy to mine lithium, right? There's just there's a lot of challenges ahead of us, right? And this whole range anxiety thing, they have to create new battery tech. Like there's just like a lot of stuff. And Tesla can continue to sell cars, but the pie isn't big enough for anybody else to be in that market.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. And
It's not.
especially just the time, like Tesla got ahead so early on, infrastructure wise, technology wise, that I don't think it's realistic for any company to catch up unless they literally become like just a secondary company to Tesla. That's it. That's the only way.
Yeah, well,
Think about infrastructure alone. Think about
I mean, now you're
just that alone.
Tesla's smart that they're diversifying and allowing you to charge whatever. Like the Hummer EVs can charge at the Tesla stations with like an adapter.
It's just more revenue for them at the end of the day.
They need the revenue, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know it makes sense.
And dongle sales,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're using the Apple model.
Well, but they're charging.
Fire dongle.
I think they're charging quite a bit for that power too.
Yeah.
They're marking up the power quite
Yeah,
a bit for
they do.
other people.
Why not?
Obviously, why not?
Yeah.
Right. And they really don't have a competitor because Electrify America is owned by Volkswagen, right? That charging network, and they're just not investing in that network. I mean, they're really not, and they're all that's like the premier charging network for Hummers and stuff, and they're always down. right? Like when we cannot travel in that car.
Impossible.
If you told me right now that like the world was going to end and I had to get the car to California, I would be like, dude, we're going to take it as far as we can, and then we're going to get stuck. There's no way to make it to California. There's just not. It's not a chance. There's like 4 chargers. They're always broken. The one that works is always the slowest charging one, and there's like 50 people online. So my brother told me he has a Fisker Ocean, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And
Your brother bought a Fisker Ocean?
Yeah,
He didn't talk to you about it first?
he did.
He didn't consult you.
I know what you would have said.
He did. I actually, the word disown doesn't even challenge, like doesn't even describe, okay, the problem I have with my younger brother. But yeah, he just doesn't get it. And I was like, he was at my house last night. He's like, I have to go to California. I have to be at work on Monday. And I'm like, he's like, I gotta leave now. And I'm like, what? I started laughing because I knew like he was serious. He says it takes him 20 hours to get to California because his car charge is so slow that he has to sit at the charging stations for like 4 hours. And he has to charge 3 times to get there.
With all due respect, how does one suffer that one time and go, yeah, let's run this back?
How do you not go on Facebook Marketplace and buy like a $5,000 Mini Cooper to come?
I probably have like 4 of them. I'd give it to him. Yeah. But it's so funny because he's so passionate about his fucking Fisker Ocean. He's like, dude, all the doors are automatic. And I'm like, what's ironic is my brother hates Tesla so much because he's one of those guys that couldn't afford it when they first came out. And so he just started to hate on it. He wanted the cheaper one because he could get it, right? So he's like, he went on the other camp that's like they voice against Tesla because their quality is bad, right? And I'm like, well, Zach, you know, that Teslas are driving to California in like 6 hours, or maybe like 5 actually, to be honest with you. And they can go there in one charge now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't matter. My Fisker will smack that car in a race. I'm like, okay.
Which one?
He says the dumbest shit too.
What's the range on an Ocean?
Probably 50 miles. I don't know. How does it take him 20 hours to get to California?
Yeah, that's tough.
It doesn't make any sense. It has to be like 180.
Southern California?
Yeah, he works there.
Yeah.
And he lives here for some reason now.
And uses a Fisker to get back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. He leaves on Saturday to get there on Monday.
You need to help a brother
With
out.
all due respect, but he lives in Las Vegas. He works in SoCal and he drives an Ocean.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's
I would love
intelligent,
to meet
right?
your younger brother.
Yeah, he's intelligent. Yeah.
I
very
love it.
intelligent.
Let's get him
I love
on.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, he I love my brother to death, but Jesus Christ, is he making poor choices? It's crazy. And he has like the best advice ever from me because I know more about cars than most people do. And I could give him all the right answers and he just doesn't want to listen, you know? But yeah, it's a wild thing. Like he likes that car so much that he like wrote a letter for their bankruptcy. Like he went to like appear in court for them to like represent like the shareholders.
Oh, he's involved.
He got involved after he bought the car.
Is he YouTubing this stuff?
No, he should though.
Yeah,
because but
A lot of people watch it. Yeah.
For real, if you're going that deep, you might as well start recording.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, make it make a little sense.
I don't think
That's all we did. Like, we
I
talked
also
about
don't
this
think his
too
job
much.
knows he lives in Las Vegas. So I don't think that's part of the point. I think his job doesn't know that he lives here. So
Of course.
It's like semi-remote.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know? They're probably going to watch this and know who I am, and they're probably going to fire him for this. So.
What
To make him get
manufacturer?
rid of his Ocean.
What manufacturer you think is on the best path right now? Who's doing it right?
If I had to tell you who's doing it right, it's not because I'm a fan, but I think they're doing it right is Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I think they're building the right car. I think that they're balancing.
What's the right car?
They're just building the right car for the market. I think the Revuelto is the right car for the market. I think that that's what people want. And just like your guest last night, I think that's what people really want. There's the SVJ buyer that want an ISR transmission. That's what I want, you know. I have both. I have an SVJ Roadster, and then I had a Revuelto until last night, you know. But
He told us another guy did the same thing. Got his Revuelto and
Sold it to go
SVJ
back
for the
into an SVJ.
Revuelto, and then like a couple days later came and swapped him back.
yeah, I mean, look, I think that's the market that needs to be catered to a little bit more. But keeping the V12, adding the hybrid, doing absolutely everything there is to make the car look. I mean, the Revuelto. I think the Aventador is probably the most beautiful car of our generation as a whole, right? You know, I think like the LaFerrari scores the highest points, but in the looks category, like, overall, I think the Aventador, from the evolution of the Murcielago to current, I'm not a fan of the SVJ. Like, looks over like, I like the SV. I think the SV is the better looking one.
More aggressive.
Yeah,
I think
just-
SVJ is more rounded.
Everyone says this.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
I don't get it.
Car taste. It's just you have it, you don't.
Yeah, I feel like that just aesthetically, I think there's a lot there. But at the end of the day, like Lamborghini with the Teminario, I think is how you say it. That's a really bad name. They messed that one up. You got to make names of cars that people are like, yeah, I have a Huracan. Like it's like they could say it with power.
Yeah.
I have like a
It's gotta be
Teminario.
short.
I'm gonna
like
sit here like Luigi.
you know,
I have a
You gotta be able to
Teminario.
shorten it. Like I got a
an idiot.
Mercy.
Yeah,
People gonna call it a
exactly.
Timmy.
Yeah, I got a 10. I got that 10.
I got that Tim
Timmy,
boy.
You know, yeah, it's interesting. They chose a really poor name, but the twin turbo V8 I think will be amazing. I think McLaren has proved that turbo cars can fit in the segment. I don't necessarily think Ferrari did a good job. I think the 488 was very dull. It was a very bad replacement to the 458. Evolution of styling, looks, the driving dynamic, everything. I think the 488 was a
Everything.
huge fail. And the F8 looks really nice. I don't know if it really tips the needle on like performance as it should.
It doesn't. I'll
It's
tell you right
it's a
now, it
little
doesn't.
unbalanced to me. And I think if you push it, it can be quite dangerous. And it's not
Doesn't put power down the way it should.
exactly. I think the SF90 looks really good. I think the physical size of the car is quite nice, and having a slightly all-wheel drive system is good. But I think that car is like too fast, right? And I think it's not enjoyable to use. There's a balance. If your car's too fast, you're not going to like it.
It's kind of
you can't.
pointless.
Because you can't feel safe in it, right?
Yeah.
And you got to think like how many people out there are gonna go if you can't drive that car ESC off with all the like the oomph, you shouldn't be driving that car, right?
For sure.
And I think like with the Huracan, most people can, like 90% of the people can take in the Corsa mode and drive the car because it's balanced, feels good, it's planted. The gearbox, the paddles are in the right place. The radio, all the stuff is in the right place, right? So I think Lamborghini is doing a good job. You know, they're probably going to take the next 10 years and really crush it.
Yeah.
I think Bugatti's doing okay, right? I think the Tourbillon is a really good evolution of the Chiron.
I think that might be literally the most perfect car I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice car. I think they're probably going to overproduce it. I think I heard numbers of like 800 as well.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I heard that
800?
they're going to double the production of the Chiron. Almost double. I mean, the Chiron's 500.
Yeah.
Right. 500 is still a lot of cars.
A lot of billionaires out there these days, huh?
There is, yeah. But like the Tourbillon, it's when you look at like the Mistral, and I think there's like 40 of those. I'm not sure exactly. Don't quote me on that. But it's got a very Tourbillon-esque look. I mean, you can see
Yeah.
the evolution of the Mistral and the Tourbillon, right? But
For
like
sure.
the Tourbillon, if it makes too many of them, it's not really special,
Right.
Right. And I think that car is so special. That's the best executed car, period, of any manufacturer, right? Like nobody did a better job executing on every level than Bugatti, and Mate is very, very smart. I'm not really a fan of Rimac, but or any full electric car, but I think the electric influence in Bugatti could be really good because, like I said, it's not supposed to be this. It's supposed to be the best Bentley ever.
Right.
And I think the Tourbillon is the best Bentley ever. I haven't really experienced it. No one has yet. But I think they did the best job, So I think the Revuelto and the Teminario are in the right place. I think that's what people want in the market. And I think Bugatti crushed it. They just, out of the park, crushed it.
I think they did too.
Well, if you're going to have to do hybrid and turbo, strap it to, or not even turbo.
Yeah,
If you're
it's-
going to have to do hybrid, strap it to a naturally aspirated V12.
Yep.
Strap it to a flat plane crank V8 that
Yep.
revs to 10,000 RPM.
Yep.
Like, they're
I agree.
using the right pieces.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's
Yeah.
like there's a way to do this. There's a way to fit cars into the market and battle the forces of the government, right? There is a way.
Downsize to V6. Sell it for $4 million.
Make 800.
And then go, hey, it's in F1 cars.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it's regulated.
Could you imagine
They
if F1
forced them to
cars
do that.
went to something else? And then what's Ferrari going to say? This used to be an F1 cars.
Well, soon F1 is going to be rocking 4 cylinders, and then they're going to be like, hey, the new C63 has an F1 engine in it.
I really don't understand. That's funny you say that. I really don't understand why they are changing the engines in F1. I'm not like that big on F1 knowledge, but like are they regulated by some government agency or something?
No.
Just I guess the FIA,
FIA, right?
But they regulate every piece of the car.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
They didn't used to, right? All the Formula One cars used to look different because they didn't regulate much. And then it got to a point where they're regulating every dimension, every tire, every
which is kind of stupid because now there should be like 5 cars on the track and just best guy wins. Give them all the same car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Best guy wins.
Real driver skill.
That's it. Just driver skill.
It's almost like that's what they're trying to, in a way, that's what they're
but
trying to
there's too many
get
cars on the track. Can't pass.
Like, here's your box.
I think there's like 20 cars on the track or more.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm going to go to F1 on next Saturday. It's like, I don't even really want to go. It's too late. I'm old, bro. I want to be in bed at 9 o'clock. It starts at 10:30, I think.
I went to
Is
the
it really?
I went to
Yeah.
the Austin.
No, yeah, fuck,
I went to
there's
the
no way.
Austin race 3 years ago, and it was just hot. You hardly see anything.
Here it's freezing because they do it at 10:30 at night.
Yeah. Well, it was hot. We're in the sun,
Like it gets dark
and you
at
barely
5.
see anything, and you're
Like
kind
we
of
could
like,
do it at
cool.
5. It's still dark outside. Like why do we have to do it at 10:30? It makes it double worse. And then when they have like flags or whatever, it's like an hour. So you leave there like 3 in the morning.
not
And
worth
then it just doesn't make any sense.
Is it what time is
It's
it?
Vegas
Is
though,
it the
baby.
time in Europe at that? or
Probably plus
something like
12,
that?
yeah. But when do they care? They're doing it at 5 o'clock in Europe and it's like 2 in the morning in America. Like, why is that a thing? Like this race is for America, Vegas. International people want to see a real racetrack. Like the ones in like Germany and stuff are like super dope, This is not a dope racetrack. This is a 200-mile-an-hour straightaway to a left turn. Like, this is more NASCAR than anything. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's the Las Vegas Strip. It's a sexy race.
Right.
But
And
why
New
do we
York has
gotta
to
do
watch
it-
the ball drop before the race starts.
I mean, I just don't see why they got to do it at 10:30 at night and make it so complicated and so expensive. And I
It's
just
'cause it's
feel like
Vegas.
the philosophy there is a little bit
Because it's
skewed.
not about racing.
I agree.
It has nothing to do with the cars. It has
Totally
nothing
agree.
to do with who wins a race. It has nothing to do with that shit. It's all just money, status, and who can be where.
I just feel like you
with
can
who.
get more money if you make it easier to get to.
And
You make it
earlier,
easier.
then everyone goes out to the clubs afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah. Like you can. There's a better way to do it in our city. There's an absolutely better way to do it.
They should hire you to do it.
Well, I don't say that I should be the one making any decisions, but I feel like someone who's lived here for 36 years would potentially understand how they could benefit in this city, right? Like somewhat of a local liaison, right? Like would
put
you
him on
guys
the
talk
council.
to like our governor,
For
you know
real.
what I mean? Like our governor doesn't know what a fucking F1 car is, No disrespect to him, but like I don't know. Like
Hey,
figure it out, guys.
as one person, I like your idea more.
Yeah,
So
That's
if
one.
that counts for anything,
that's one.
I'll vote for you.
I don't know. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword because you probably could make more money if you just opened it up to volume, but at the same time, it's the event to be at. What is it, on Saturday next week? It's the event to be at. So like if you're anybody doing anything in the city, if you're not at F1, so that's why they do it like that because they make you pick.
I kind of feel like this year it's not the event.
It's not the event to be at.
No.
Yeah, it's cheap, right? No
It's like
way.
$400 to go to the race now, and it was like 4,000 last year.
I would say my fucking Miami tickets were fucking disgusting. I remember trying to get tickets in Miami last time.
Yeah,
Absolutely disgusting.
but
I didn't know they were fucking only $400.
it's like very inexpensive right now.
You want to go F1 next week?
It's
Me? What, next week?
Yeah.
It's next week.
Yeah.
You can come back?
Sure.
I can't.
That's fucking crazy.
it's pretty easy to get to. You just gotta
We'll just go with him.
You gotta just park right here and walk across the street.
Yeah.
Try to go to the Bellagio. Like, that's where I would watch the race at. But like at the end of the day, the world is gonna change, and we have to change with it, right? And the F1 events and the Sphere and all the crazy stuff that we're putting into Vegas, the show business, it's all got to be a balance so that you can bring from the last generation to the next generation. It's not like a turn off last, open on the new one. It's got to evolve, right? America has to evolve. The car companies have to evolve. Everything has to evolve. We cannot just change, right? And that's what's happening right now. That's what everybody did, right? They didn't know what to do in the pandemic. They just were like, oh, fuck it. What's America doing? Listen to those guys. Okay, cool. Everybody just does this. And it didn't work, right? And so then after the pandemic, it was like the wild, wild west. Every dealer was like, you want to buy this car? 500,000. It's like a Kia Soul.
Yeah.
Like, and the lady was like, okay, can I get approved? And they just bought it.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have a reason, you know, like I had a whole bunch of house projects back in the early 2020. And the painters would come over and they would just, like, this guy was like doing tile at my house. And I got a quote for like $4,500 in labor. And this other guy comes over, he's like, it's 54,000. I thought he just missed a zero. I thought it was 5,400. And he was dead ass serious. He's like, it's 54,000. I have 40 jobs right now that I'm bidding. If you don't take it, someone else will. And I'm like, are you just 10xing the base rate? He's like, yeah. Someone's going to say yes. And I was like, okay, cool. It's really great.
Did you say yes?
I did not say yes.
Okay,
For 54,000, I would have learned to lay tile myself.
You made me nervous.
Okay.
Hey, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there for
I'm sure.
it.
Yeah. But that's how the
I've seen a
world
few.
has become. And that's what everybody did. That's what all the dealers did. That's what all the manufacturers did. That's what the people did. That's why we have such a wild society right now. And that's why the politics are so crazy. The election's crazy. Every state's different. And we have all these regulations. Like California is like, yeah, dude, gas should be like $40 a gallon because we should charge the cars. And then electric car charging is going to be like 85 cents a kilowatt when it's like, or whatever that is. I don't know because I'm not a charging person, but you know, it's going to be like crazy more expensive than gas. They're just going to raise the price of everything because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we pay like 16 cents just at the house, not even.
Yeah. So I was
even
right. 85 cents a kilowatt.
Not surcharge.
You know? Yeah. I mean, imagine. You wouldn't go anywhere. You wouldn't do anything.
That's kind of what they want, though. At some point,
It's
more
already
control
gotten
over
that
the
way.
average everyday person is all they want.
Yeah. I think that's called communism.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Go down to
Yeah.
West
very
Hollywood
familiar.
on a Friday night these days. No one has money to spend.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. No one has any money spent. Right now, we're in the highest point of everybody here.
Oh,
All
royalty-
that stuff is dead. Vegas, everyone comes to Vegas to do this. I don't know how much it's changed. Maybe it's changed, maybe it hasn't.
royalty is 95% down in sales. 95%. The revenue is down that much.
Wow.
I had at one point close to 50 cars for rent between all of the SUVs and everything. I have less than 10 now. That's how low the demand is.
I believe it.
And it's okay, right? I mean,
It's seasonal. Everything happens. The ebb and flow of business.
seasonality is like a 4-month thing. I think we're in for a like 4-year thing, 4 or 5-year thing, because you're battling multiple facets of this. You're battling the financial ability. You're also battling with inflation. I don't know. What are your guys' actual jobs? Like besides this?
I own a collision center in Hollywood.
Okay, so this is actually a good example. So you get a car that comes in, and let's say it normally costs like $2,500 to fix that car at your cost, and you're reselling it at like $7,500, right? You got like a good margin, 30-40% net. And it's not the same anymore, right?
It's not.
Because now, whatever you're doing, it costs you 100 to 200% more, and the value of what you're doing is down by 30%. So you have like 2 ways that your money changed. So you're doing 200% more effort, making 30% less money. So that's what we're the big challenge in our society is that we don't know how to balance those 2 factors. Work in, money in, right? Like it doesn't really work anymore, right? The balance isn't there. That's why it's like when you guys came, you're like, oh, this car is so cool. And I'm looking at this car like 4 years ago, the effort to buy this car, the car was cheaper, right? It was $1,800,000 cheaper 4 years ago, right? And the effort to make that money was like normal. I mean, you expected that level of effort. Now, think about royalty being down 90% in sales, 95% in sales. I have to do 10 times the amount of work to make the same amount of money and pay $1.8 million more for that car. I don't want that car anymore. I haven't made one YouTube video with that car because I do feel like I'm going to sell this car soon. I feel like I'm not going to be able to hold on to it because I don't want it. Not because I couldn't really make it happen, but like, why?
It's not worth it.
So
What
when
you
you look
gotta
at
do to
going to
make it
Bali and you look at going to like Disneyland or wherever vacations or Vegas or whatever show or whatever experience is, you're like, why? My rent costs 50% more, and I'm making less money now. I'm spending 65 cents extra a gallon. How can I make this work?
I got a 2% raise.
You can't. So what happens is the everyday consumer starts picking and choosing what they can and what they can't do.
What's
Am I going to
priority?
pay my car or am I going to pay my fucking rent? And that's what it gets down to at a super micro level. People like I know, and it's kind of crazy because again, doing collision business, I deal with the high scales like rental. You deal with the lowest of the low to the highest of the high people, and there's everybody in between. I have customers that literally will live or die over the fact that gas is 3 cents cheaper here because their life is truly dependent on the fact that the 3 cents will matter whether or not they will go out to go see friends on a Saturday night, which I can't even fathom getting to that point in my life where 3 cents will depict whether or not I'm going to go do something.
If you want to get to that point in your life, put your life on a spreadsheet. I do it. I put everything I have on a spreadsheet. I know every single thing I have, all of my assets, all of everything. I know what I have. And then you're like, okay, well, what do I spend? So take 3-month average, put it on a spreadsheet, see what you spent. You'll hate yourself because you'll realize you don't see. Bro,
I'm thinking about it right now.
It just keeps working.
Yeah,
right.
I'm thinking about it right
stops.
now. Yeah, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm discussing
but
myself as
you gotta think
it
but
is.
when you look at it and like you put it on a spreadsheet and it's sitting on your desktop and you open it up, right? Like I do it for royalty because it's so hard, right? You're constantly going out of business, in and out of business all the time, right? And every business that's in automotive is always going in and out of business. You're always 1 week away or 2 weeks away from closing your doors, right? Just one problem. You're like, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. That's the automotive industry, right?
It's very true.
Look at every dealership that's closed over the past 2 years.
very true.
Right? Every car sales place. All of them were flooring cars, selling titles, doing this, doing that, transport businesses. Not one of the transport companies has insurance.
Surviving.
Right? They're not really surviving. They're really walking like the finest, thinnest rope ever. And they're just consistently falling off and then grabbing the rope and trying to climb back up. Because everybody's falling off every single day or every single month. You know, like when you go to transport a car right now, there's 100%, not even 99% chance, 100% chance the guy you hire will not pick up that car. They don't have the money, right? You get a guy that's got good reviews who's taken the job, right? You've heard of all the stolen cars, right? They're taking the job on Central Dispatch. They've got 5-star reviews, and then they're sending it to like 50 people who have no insurance. The trailers are used, the straps are holding the thing, the wall's on, and the tires are like one's missing. It's like there's just a complete disaster. And then that guy will deliver to the next. He'll take it 200 miles. That guy will take it 200 miles because they can't go across state lines. It's because of all the weigh stations and stuff. They got this whole racket figured out. And then sometimes, like 20% of the time, they just take your car and sell it to someone who's going to bring it to Mexico or China.
It's that bad, huh?
It's that bad. You know, unless you're hiring like reliable, right, which is like 10 times the price of natural transport, right? Or one of these guys that do like crazy hypercars. Like to ship a car from Vegas to California, the going like Russian rate is like $400 enclosed. To take it with someone who has insurance is $1,500.
JP Logistics.
Yeah, like JP's $2,500.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, if you wanted to go with someone who's got insurance, it's like 8 times more.
I'm shipping my car back on Sunday with George.
Yeah, but you know.
But yeah, I mean, if you know somebody,
I know the dispatcher.
well, okay.
Not-
See, you don't know who's going to pick it up.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know who's going to pick it up. And I'm paying about what you said for the Russian rate.
If you're putting-
He's second guessing himself. He's about to cancel.
I'm like, I'm about to cancel my JSX flight and just drive back.
yeah,
Steal the radar detector.
I mean, just put this in your head for a second. I shipped my car. I still have this car. It's a 2020 S63. It's been my favorite daily driver ever.
Nice car.
It's got 1,200 horsepower, built motor, built everything. It's crazy. I put more money in the interior color. It's this interior. It's got purple. It doesn't matter. I spent
that's sick.
crazy money on this car. Okay, and I had to send it to Eurocharge because they made like a special new turbo with this and this and this and this and this. Whatever. Car sits there for like 4 months. They send it back. Right. It gets picked up. The guy doesn't strap the fucking thing down. They slam on the brakes. Boom. Car flies out of the trailer. Goes right over it hits the top of the other truck, totals that truck, totals my car. No one's got insurance. So the guy just shows up here a week after that and is like, here's your fucking car, man. I'm like, okay, now what? So I can either call my personal car insurance, right, and file a claim, which is then going to raise my rates to cover the cost of that accident. Car wasn't driving, right? So my insurance might not even cover it, right? It's like really gray area here, right? And that guy just says tough shit. I'm like, who's the driver? Oh, he's in Bulgaria now. I'm like, okay, so
Sure.
what do I do?
Sure he is.
Like they just dip. They just change their fucking name and dip, you know? And that's what's happening. And so I get this S-Class back with like 80, the car's worth like 100 grand. It's got 80 grand worth of damage on it. So I fixed it, right? And then, you know, whatever. I didn't have a choice. I mean, I could just throw it in the trash, but it was like my favorite car, you know? And that took me 2 years to basically fix that problem. And that's just from a $400 fucking transporter. You can't sue them. They won't go to jail. They have no recourse at all. They just leave the scene of the accident and just find another truck to drive away. Nothing's registered. Nothing's insured. It's just the way they work.
It's crazy.
And that's just what's happening right now. You know? I mean, that's just what it is. So you want to take that risk, pay $1,500, you know?
You got a guy?
Yeah.
Well, of course I have a guy, but like just saying, you just pay the right money, you know, to make sure that it's going to make it there.
Covered.
And if it doesn't, dude, I have a friend who shipped his Chiron somewhere with one of those guys, and they took the front lip off the car. It's like 50 grand. They were like, oh, we don't have insurance. It's like, what the fuck? This is just 50,000.
Bruv.
All they did was just back it up without putting the lift up. Cracked it. Super simple mistake. 50 G's. No one's paying for it except him.
Bruv.
Because he was cheap. He wanted to pay like $800 or $900 to ship a Chiron. You know? Yeah. And most of those cars, like your Aventador, really can't even fit in a regular trailer because it's 80 inches wide. So they have to like bend their trailer to make it work. You know, it's not even like legit, you know? So, yeah, don't take those risks because it's just not worth it. You know, if you have an Aventador, don't be cheap when you're moving it around, right? I mean, that's the argument you would make, right? You know,
That's very true.
That's the argument like the dealer makes.
Argument.
It was my guy, so I'm like, yeah, George, set it up, do your thing. Now you got me tripping.
I mean,
You're about to call him, hey, what's the deal
Yeah,
tomorrow?
for real.
Yeah, I mean, he could set it up with a good guy, right? You never know, you know.
Sure.
But my point is that just don't take unnecessary risk with your really expensive cars.
100%. That was my dream car.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
You don't want to be one of the statistics. You don't want to be someone else's lesson.
You just watch my channel from 4 years ago, and you'll see it. Every video is the statistic. You know, like a week ago, I had a car stolen, 720. These people came into Royalty. They rented the car. Super nice lady. Everything was good. She's super cool. No problems. She goes and she says she's staying at the Palace Station. I'm like, why would you stay there? That's a little weird. You know, I'm like, just valet the car. Don't worry about it. It's like kind of not a hotel you would sleep at.
Right.
Right. It's like more of like a locals like gambling casino. Right. But I'm just like, yeah, just valet the car. And of course, she doesn't valet the car. She puts it in the parking garage. She's gambling with some people, you know, playing whatever, Baccarat. And these people that are not supposed to be there come up, they befriend her. Anyways, they drug her, steal the car. 28 minutes, that car was 14 miles away, completely stripped. With like the GPS is gone, everything's gone. Pro fucking car thieves. 28 minutes. And they're all on video. In the casino, in the garage, taking the car, plates, everything. Everything is either fake or manipulated or whatever. Pros. 28 minutes. Do you know how hard it is to find a GPS on a fucking 720?
Bro, it's
No
fucking
clue.
hard to take a bumper off a 720 if you fucking in 8 minutes, let alone 10 minutes. 28 minutes to disassemble the whole fucking thing and get
Basically,
a GPS?
No, I mean the physical body. They disassembled the interior.
Right.
Right. They must have had 5 guys working on the car. I don't understand.
And knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
had to have technology
Yes.
to know where that thing was.
Right, because did they move the GPS in a McLaren, or is it always in the same spot? Do you know?
Well, where I put them
Yeah.
is under the carbon panels in the back wall, right? Like it's a whole. It's really hard to take it
So
apart.
you're putting your own like anti-theft device.
Yeah.
Of
basically.
course. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a rental company. I need to make sure I know where the cars are.
Yeah. No, I
right.
feel
And I
stupid.
put 2. You know, so I put one dummy one up under the steering wheel where everybody puts it. It's not a dummy. It physically works, but
Right.
usually people are like, "Oh, here's the GPS. Grab it, take it out," and then they go, and they don't realize there's one behind them, right? And then there's an AirTag normally in the car too, just like because it's NFC, it's a different tech, right? Everything. 28 minutes.
So they got some scanners.
I honestly thought it was like my own mechanic that did it. Like the guy that installed it, I was like, I kind of.
You came to work the next day, you're like, hey, can we chat?
I asked him, I mean, I've known him for so long. I know it's not him, and it is his favorite car. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, but legit, like super legit. Like 28 minutes, they took this car, and like I don't know who's gonna pay for that. You know.
That's
So the
gone
car's
in
just
60
the car's still
seconds.
gone, like
Yeah.
completely
Okay,
gone.
This
You
is
just
like this is 9-10 days ago.
you just L.
Yep. I just got the police report yesterday, actually. So I got it forwarded to that lady's insurance. She went to the hospital. She was in the hospital for 2 days. I went to visit her in the hospital. She didn't know the car was stolen. She legitimately was looking, like the doctor kept telling us, she keeps looking for this key. Like, cause they didn't let us in for a little while, you know? But I finally got in and talked to her, and she's like, her whole purse all over the floor. You know, she's like, I have the key here somewhere. Like, I thought at first, when she's like, oh, I'm in the hospital, I thought it was her that stole the car. Like it's some funny business. But then she was legitimately there. There was video of her going in the ambulance at the casino, like the whole thing. Like, this is a real problem, you know? And I couldn't believe it. And so I haven't spoken to her since she left Vegas. But yeah, dude, this shit happens so fast. I just don't know where the cars are going. How do you hide a purple McLaren?
Mexico.
Yeah.
But okay, they're in Mexico.
They end up
like,
in Baja like this.
I guess.
In less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine who had a TRX stolen in
TRXs get stolen.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Every 5
but
minutes.
still.
I just don't understand why you would want a purple McLaren in Mexico.
It's not that they don't want it. What they do is they pretty much like they chop it all up, they cut it up, and then they start selling the parts all across the globe.
That's crazy.
And it's the
dude.
distribution hubs in Mexico.
Or they ship it to
China,
Africa
right?
or
Yeah,
something.
South Africa. Yeah.
Oh yeah, South Africa. That makes sense.
And some
I saw
some
that
dudes.
Cullinan or whatever. On,
Yeah, that's the wildest video.
yeah,
The wildest video.
yeah.
But that's pretty
and
much what happens though.
My favorite part about the whole thing is there's somewhere the owner of that car just started getting flooded with text messages. Dude, is this your car? And he just found out on the internet my car is in Nigeria.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, like, does it really matter? As long as you had insurance and you got paid for it, like,
Sure.
I guess it's what they call victimless crime, right? I mean, I personally can't take that kind of loss. You know, like I don't have the same insurance that person does. Like commercial rental car insurance doesn't cover stuff like that, right? Now you can buy that insurance for that, but think about, I probably rent 20,000, well, 10,000 cars a year, 20,000 cars a year, depending on the year. And I've been in business 10 years. Think about how many rentals I've had. It's the first car's ever gotten stolen.
Really?
So the grand scheme of things, like if I were to buy that insurance and pay like, let's just call it $2,000 extra a month for 10 years, I'd have probably paid for that car 5 times.
It's the first time a car's gotten stolen?
Yeah. Well, gone. Like where I'm
Right,
not gonna
where
get it
you're
back.
not seeing that shit.
Yeah.
anymore.
Like I have people like take off in the cars, but I go get them back.
Right.
You know, like I have never had a car not come back
Yeah.
in 10 years.
No doubt, if I ever get into an accident that's my fault and I got to pay for damages, I've already prepaid for whatever that's going to cost.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, unless
you know me,
someone,
so-
unless
And
someone
you know
like,
me. So you're fine.
And I know you. But,
unless someone dies in an accident, I'm probably not going to file insurance, unless like I broke this car, right? Like if I like somehow wreck this car in some fashion, I don't know what it would cost. I know what it costs to like Koenigsegg charges $200,000 to paint the car, right? I've asked them how much it's going to cost me to repaint my car, and it's $200,000. You know, so like if just the paint is $200,000, what's the bonnet cost? You know,
You don't want to know.
200 more.
You don't want
Yeah.
to know.
And it's
You don't
not,
wanna know.
you can't fix this car here. Like I know someone with a Ruggiera that got rear-ended and they sent his car to Sweden to have it fixed. I think it took them like 9 months. It doesn't get fixed in America.
Fuck no, it doesn't
Like
get
there's
fixed.
no like carbon repair
No,
place.
there's only one place that I know of, even in our area, that even touches these cars from a mechanical perspective, but they're certified through Christian. Yost Auto Tailoring.
Oh,
down-
yeah, I know John.
That's
Yeah.
the only people.
Well, John was a tech for I don't
Exactly.
know how many years. Yeah, he was here about a week ago.
Yeah, good people.
Yeah. Oh, he's great.
They just did the pulley on my shitbox out there.
Did you put the upgraded bearing one?
I did.
Yeah.
So that way I don't have any fucking more problems because I
Wow,
think
they still break after that, but it's better.
it's
The
a little bit better.
yours will be gone before then. That's the good news.
Yeah, the Aventador S for some reason goes
Could
to
be somebody
pulleys the
else's
most.
problem.
It does.
Really?
Yeah, I stopped renting S's. They're the worst ones.
To
Don't
rent.
know why. They're the worst. The worst of the Aventadors was the S.
For pulleys.
No, for everything. Everything broke on the S. Rear steering, pulleys, you know, the front stuff, like everything they changed on the S was like not tested or
Yeah.
something.
Until then they got a little bit more advanced with everything else. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a great. I
I
mean,
feel like that's what
haven't had a
Matt
car,
said
though.
too,
Pretty much.
right?
Yeah. Pretty
Always
similar.
have a problem.
Did he tune your car?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Yeah. He tuned my Bugatti. I'm sure everybody knows that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a badass motherfucker.
HD?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah.
Matt's the
Seems
goat.
like he does
Yeah.
everyone's.
Our boy Chance is really loves Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, all the like almost every shop uses Matt.
Yeah,
over there.
Matt's the fucking goat.
Yeah,
Matt's the goat. Are you kidding me?
Well,
That's
Matt knows OEM ECUs better than anybody, so it makes sense. I mean, he's kind of at a really solid niche, like most people don't take the time to learn that tech. They're going Motec or they're going Cyvex or because that's where the big money is, right? Like what Matt does, there's no big money in that. Like someone like John Reed who does like UGR's tuning for Motec. I mean, he's making probably 100 times what Matt makes because the ability to tune, you're talking $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in tuning with every module and all the stuff, where Matt is just changing engine values.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously doing a lot of work, but the camp is bigger. People will just go aftermarket ECU, right? And that's
Completely,
Honda to Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It's all the same and it's one box. So
Think
Matt
about your
has
Alpha.
a very specific niche.
Yeah.
You're a prime example with your Alpha. You just swapped ECUs instead of being like getting shit.
Oh, you went to a
tuned.
4C?
I had a 4C
Sick.
for
Three one back there too.
yeah.
Mine
Yeah.
has a.
Do you guys really have the same fucking taste, man?
I had a supercharger lease. I sold it, got a 4C. Now I have a Vantage, the 2014.
I have
Vantage.
a 4C back there that I put a Gallardo V10 in.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because
if
I
he
called-
sees that car, he'll cream.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's all in pieces right now. I'll show it to you.
Oh.
He'll still cream.
But
So.
I called
hoping-
John Hennessy
I was about to ask if you had the
because I
key.
wanted the Venom GT. You know the Venom GT, right?
Yeah, yeah.
one
of
of my
course.
favorite cars.
Yeah.
Design language wise.
The Venom G is a Lotus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly
Stretched.
a Lotus.
Cut
It's
and
just stretched.
extended.
Perfect car, right?
I like that.
My dream Lotus.
It's gorgeous.
It's just like a Koenigsegg Lotus.
It's the best looking Lotus
The
ever made.
best one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I called him and he was like, "Yeah, we could build you one 800,000." I'm like, "Oh fuck, that's kind of a lot." I thought it was gonna be like 500, and I was like, "Well, 800, I'd probably build my own." You know,
Pretty
like,
much.
I don't know. I feel like I'll build my own. So I bought this Lotus, and then I was like, you know what? Be way cooler is if I built my own with an Alpha. Yeah, that was stupid. Because it had a carbon tub and all the stuff. So I
Yeah.
go out my brand new Alpha 4C. I think it was like $75,000. I strip from the dealer, which is like 8 miles away to here. The car, I don't know. The car can't have more than 8-9 miles on it, right? I stripped the entire fucking car down to the tub. So I call this guy Igor, who does
Disassembly.
wicked. No, I disassembled it. I love taking things apart. He has wicked trophy trucks, like the best, like the ones that are like the fastest, where he wins all the races, right? Like multi-million-dollar ones. And I'm like, put this Gallardo V10 in this car. He's like, what? Okay. So, boom, a couple $100,000 later, engine's in there, right?
Jeez.
And I had this company in Italy design this body, like crazy, super sick body, like very similar design language. Ironically, it looks like almost like 80% like the AMG one, which I think is a very good looking car, right? And this is like 2019 when I designed it, center fin, all the stuff. And then I started Houston's Hot Chicken instead, and I was like, man, I have no money to finish this car. Every dollar I had, the car was in Italy at the carbon facility and all this stuff. And I just was like, guys, I cannot have a passion project right now. I've got to build these restaurants, So I just never finished it. So it just sits it's sitting in my storage. It was in my garage at my house.
That's such a cool idea, though. That's a car you could probably do a run of 10 or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. It looked really good too. It looked really good.
I'd like to see the renders.
Pick it up and finish it.
Yeah. I thought about selling the chassis, I really did. But
Yeah.
I kind of have like a couple $100,000 into that thing, just the chassis alone. And then the engine's worth like 100 or 80 something thousand. Has a manual Graziano gearbox. It's kind of a cool car,
Yeah.
I just can't believe how similar taste the two of you have.
Well, we're real car people. That's why.
I don't disagree. I'm a fake car person,
appreciate
100%. So,
What is your dream car
what is my dream car?
right now?
It's a good
gonna
question.
change, but
It is going to change.
You low-key changed mine. So,
I'm stuck between two of them, but if you want to be realistic, LaFerrari. Realistically. Like you said, you explained it perfectly. It's literally just like the pinnacle of 458, and that's one of my favorite cars ever. But on the other side of it, it'd probably be a pure sport.
You got two good ones.
Yeah.
Pure Sport's the best Bugatti ever made.
Yeah.
That's the only Bugatti that's not a Bugatti.
yeah.
A Veyron, though, is like probably 9/10 of a Chiron. I kind of like the Veyron better than the Chiron, driving wise.
Really?
It's a Bugatti.
More raw.
It's a Bugatti trying to be a Bentley, whereas the Chiron's a Bentley trying to be a Bugatti. It's like the principles are backwards.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How did I describe that when I drove it?
So it's like a Bentley.
I was pretty spot on that, huh?
Yeah.
But the Pure Sport, like, have you driven the regular Chirons?
No.
The regular
you drove a
Chiron.
regular Chiron?
Is that what I drove?
Yeah, what'd you think you drove?
I thought I
The
drove
Pure Sport is the one with the wing.
The one you drove
Yeah.
was a regular Chiron.
Oh, then shit.
The
No, I
Pure
drove
Sport
regular
is the
Chiron.
one with the fixed wing.
Yeah, the X-Wing.
Okay, bet. Then I drove regular Chiron then.
The Pure Sport is they changed the gearing. It only goes 217, and it has has completely shorter gears. So it's not luxury at all. It's very track focused.
sweet.
It's very like 0 to 60 specific. 0 to 120. It's like the gearing is wild, and it's got an Alcantara interior. It's sporty. It's a great car. I think they made like 60 of them out of the 500.
The Pure Sport was my answer, and then you talked me out of the Chiron, but now you're telling me that the Pure Sport is a legitimate option again.
Yeah, the Pure Sport.
So
This Pure Sport
I
is a
feel better
very,
about
very
it.
cool car. I would like to have a Pure Sport, but I wouldn't. It'd be tough to buy it over the LaFerrari.
Yeah.
Like if you have like a really good, like a 5-car garage, I don't know how many cars, but you're talking like an Agera RS is great. The Jesko is going to be great, right? The Pure Sport's is always a great car. The LaFerrari is a great car. Nothing from Pagani is really that good. I mean, a Zonda's cool, but like at 15 million, it's like just it doesn't make sense, right? And then when you go lower a little bit, the CGT is really cool. It's kind of slow. Like, the Paul Walker story is the CGT is so reckless. The first time I drove a CGT, I thought I was going to die. And I didn't push the gas yet. I'm like, I'm going to floor it and I'm going to die. And I pushed the gas and I was like, okay. And I'm like, this is it. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here? Thought this car was like super fast.
Pilot Sport 4S's came out. That's what happened.
Basically. And yeah, it was not cool. I mean, Chance was in my, didn't you ride in my CGT? Yeah. Like I straight piped it, did all this crazy stuff. I really liked it. But like when you factor in that it's like more than a Bugatti, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I think Paul Walker's was on the original tires.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was on a lot of original things.
Yeah.
Right? It's a challenging car to drive in itself. But look, those cars, once you start going over $1 million, there's only a few of them that are good. The 918 is a cool car. 918 is more of a daily driver than anything, right? The Carrera GT, it's kind of shitty to drive if you're driving it slow. I mean, yeah, you can get that clutch and you can really get the hang of it and you really can know. Like I know Josh, he's like super into the CGT.
Super.
But I just feel
Super.
like Josh
Super.
just doesn't. He drives cars for like 5 minutes. Takes a lot longer than 5 minutes to understand a car, right? I think it takes. I put 100 miles on a LaFerrari before I figured out that I liked it. You could look at it and be like, wow, this is really nice. But like, you don't really get it unless you're at like full pop and really pushing the car, ESC off, understanding the balance, beyond the tech, beyond all the stuff that's trying to save you, and just figure out where it's at, right? So I don't know. There's not very many cars anymore, that you can go into. Because then the really good ones are $5 million plus.
Yeah,
now.
everything else
I know,
is
the
crazy.
jump is insane. You hit Senna, 4GT, and then you're out of there.
Dunzo.
Well, I guess you mentioned a couple that are kind of in between, but
like the Senna's a cool car.
you jump
It
up
looks
to 4
good, but it's
million
kind of
so
uncomfortable. It's unreliable. The Senna's like really unreliable, like in comparison to like even the 720. I mean, it's like
kind of ugly a little bit.
it's weird, but I mean, I don't
In a
hate
cute
that
way.
car.
In a cute way.
Yeah, like I don't hate the Senna, but the window doesn't go down more than 4 inches, so the cabin pressure is like pretty extreme, and you're like it's very glassy. So like if there's sun on you, you're gonna get it from all the angles. Like it's kind of an uncomfortable car. The seats are impossible to get into because the Senna is like so narrow.
Don't even start with me.
Hitting your shoulder all the time. It's
It
just
took me 20 minutes to get out of Senna seats.
Senna seats are different in a 720 than they are in a Senna.
Senna.
The Senna has a much narrower entry,
Yeah.
And then you have like the 4GT, which I think could have been the greatest supercar of all time had they just put the GT500 engine in it. I think I don't know what they did. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But he goes back to the fucking, I think it has something to do with the, why am I blanking on the shit?
Le Mans race?
Yeah, like all that bullshit.
I don't really think that matters. I think that like they make GT500 Mustangs. Why could they not put that same engine in the 4GT?
One of our guests was one of the developer drivers for it. And that's kind of what he was basing off of. They were just trying to incorporate the whole car to take it to Le Mans and do everything.
He must be gay because that car is the biggest letdown on history. Okay,
Looks amazing.
it's the best looking. It's one of the best looking cars ever.
It is.
It absolutely is. Have you driven a new 4GT?
We just rode.
No, we rode in it. That's it.
But like,
That
it's
was
cool.
Yeah.
No, it's sick as fuck. He pushed
drifted
it.
us
He
around
drifted.
some
He pushed the
corners.
limit. It was.
And then when you
sick
close
as
your
shit.
eyes, you're like, damn, this Raptor sounds nice. Right? That's what you said, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we said.
Yeah. Like, I just don't know what they were thinking. If I was going to do something, like my next like YouTube build would be to fix that problem.
Could you fit an engine in there in that little?
I'll make whatever fucking happen. They've actually got a factory prototype with the Godzilla engine in it. Yeah, they have a factory prototype with a V8 in it.
Well,
Yeah, and it looks exactly the same on the outside, so they didn't stretch it or anything. But yeah, they
so
have
it
that.
can be done. So what you're saying?
Bro, you put a fucking Gallardo
That is crazy.
What are you talking about?
You have no trunk then. The trunk space behind the
The
four-cylinder.
body is not on the car anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm saying, it's not
body.
even a fucking 4C anymore.
I stretched it about 2 feet.
the whole the
The whole
tub.
chassis.
Yeah, bro.
No, the tub is the same.
Okay, the tub is the
engine
same.
bay is 2 feet longer.
Okay, yeah.
Or like 20 inches. Right.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
matched the wheelbase. That was when I built that car was about the time that I had that like 100 miles in the LaFerrari.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I needed it to be exact dimensions of a LaFerrari. It's like my thought
You got the
process-
wheelbase and you were like,
my
let me
thought
line this
process
up.
was like, okay, if I make it like this, I'm gonna have a manual LaFerrari.
Hey, you have the right idea.
It was my thought process.
I
at
see.
the
So you're
time.
talking about the aluminum rear structure that like bolts onto the tub is stretched for the new engine.
It's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have new front suspension. It's all billet. It's pretty cool.
It's not a 4C.
I
It's-
understand.
The
It's
last thing
it's
it
a
is-
4C tub.
The last thing it is a 4C.
Yeah.
That's the last thing it
It
is.
has a
now.
4C interior still because I didn't strip the interior.
Yeah.
But I would have. I
So
just
it's
had to
basically an MC20. That's what you're telling me.
You know, it's actually funny is I was thinking about buying an MC20 to do this to if I finish this project.
Yeah.
Because the tub is a little bigger and I think it'd be a little easier to do. And I kind of like the MC20 the way it looks.
I think they're
I'm
beautiful.
down with you. I'm down with the design language.
It's a $120,000 car now.
Yeah,
It's a good
which is
deal.
fucking
Is it really?
crazy. It's gone
100.
down to 120.
Yeah, 120, 130.
That might be the best option at that price.
It's a very bad car. It's a very
Oh,
bad
really?
car. Nah,
Big guy,
sucks.
don't go there.
What's better? What would you take at that price? 120. You got like you can get an R8. You could get
I would never go into a-
Z06. You
Not
could
the
get
new,
a
the new Z06 would be bad. I'd rather have the C7 manual. That thing's sick.
What's bad about the new C06?
It's like it's a shitty car.
In what aspect?
Everything. It's plastic. You just get in the car and you're like, why did they do this? Like you ask them why did they do this? Does it make any sense? The button stack, the way everything looks, the screen's shaped ergonomically, it's just bad. Just a bad car. And then you pull the paddle, it feels like it's clicking I can't express to you how weird it feels. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why did they make that car? You know, this is the generation, the pandemic generation where they're like, let's just try this because everything will work right now. That's what they thought. And it clearly didn't. The car is depreciated like by 40%, I think already,
Any response?
No. I give his fair opinion.
I mean,
He has one. So I just didn't know if he had.
why would you have
something
that
to say.
car?
I like it.
But what do you like about it?
I like the way it drives. I love everything
Did you
about it.
own a manual C7 Z06?
I owned an automatic C706.
Why am I here? Like, what?
Because I'm
What's
here.
this thing called? This the Supercar Connection?
Yeah, baby,
All
come
well,
on
we should
now.
change that name. Okay? All right?
I got my
Supercar.
Aventador up front. Come on now.
Do I need to kick him out?
You bought the Aventador. You're like one of those
going
secret gay
solo.
dudes that are just trying to. You're like you have a wife because you want people to think you're a car guy.
The Aventador's his
right?
beard, yeah.
Yeah,
That's my beard?
Yeah, that's your
All right.
beard.
I was, okay. 15 Z01, 18 Z06,
Okay.
base C8, 458, simultaneously Z06, 720, Aventador.
You're like 50% there. Like 50% is good, 50% is bad, right? It just depends. Like if I see the way you drive your Aventador, I could tell you, if you know what you got.
We're going to cut in a little bit and we can go and you could tell me exactly how after I drive my shit.
Yeah, it just depends. Like if you can use an ISR gearbox and understand how to balance that car and know how to use that car, then you're a good car guy, right? If the Aventador is a cool car to you, then you know what you're doing, right? If you complain about the Aventador, you're not in the right space. You need to be in like knitting or like sewing, something along those lines.
Or Novo Vuelto.
Yes, yes. You're just in the wrong industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think next car for you is probably Senna. That would make sense. Like from your car, move up, Senna would be a really good, just a good card next. But I think you could also like deter people and be like, oh, GT3 RS, like the newest one.
Yeah.
I thought that car was a very beautiful car, but I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, what I was thinking about, and I think this is gonna. If I say this, it's gonna end me. Is my problem. He's gonna be like, oh, you're fucking, it's done. I was thinking of getting an SF90.
I don't think that's bad. Oh. I think that the SF90.
I thought I cooked myself when I said that.
I mean, if you're buying an SF90 with a 3 in front of it,
that's why I said
be
I
careful.
think high 3. I don't see better value. Like even the event you can compare to like my events where I got it for high 3s. So you take my car versus an SF90. It's hard, but I mean, obviously V12, that everything that car experience wise is unmatched, but value wise, I feel like it's hard to beat that at high 3s.
I like the SF90. I don't like the SF90 at 600, 700, 500. It's just too much, right? But I can't recommend the cars that I would want for you because you're just too big. You're just physically too big to really enjoy them. The SF90 is a nice car. It's a good car. But you got to be in
What
the
if he was
high
my
threes.
size? What would you recommend?
Well,
or 765 was what I was thinking too. But
yeah, I mean the 765 is nice. It's just that's kind of like that's basically, I don't know. I think the 765 is probably the best McLaren they're going to make. I can't see them replacing that with a better car, right? And in the threes also, not like a 5, right? That's just too much, right? It just, you also have to be. You got to understand that you're driving a car that also cost $180,000, right? It's kind of like the different levels of trim in some of these cars where they make like the V6 and the V8. You're really in like the V8 version of the 720, right? Because you're still driving a 720. It's just got a really nice look to it. It has a different name, but at the end of the day, that car to the normal person is the same, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to be careful with that. SF90 is not. Right, the SF90 is obviously its own standalone. A hybrid's cool. It's going to break a lot. If you get one with like 10,000 miles, someone took it to the dealer like 50 times already. Hopefully, you got a good one right after they fixed it a couple times. But it's a fast car. You got it'll wear on you. If they get annoying. It's like because you can't really drive it slow, and when you're driving it so fast all the time, it pushes you to be aggressive. Then you get frustrated driving it because you can't go anywhere, Like that's kind of what I like about a Bugatti is that they can be so good slow, and then they go fast. But you don't need to go fast because everybody knows it goes fast, right? But like it's so nice to drive that car slow. It's smooth. SF90 is not that car. The SF90 goes fast, and it doesn't go slow well. It's very jerky slow.
Can you judge what I want next?
Yes.
Briefly. 600 LT Spider.
Yeah, I mean,
you're looking at like 190, 200 grand.
Parker, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the only car he's ever kept.
it is.
I mean, that should tell you something.
Yeah.
Parker's driven every car ever in history, right? I don't know if he drives that because it's a value prop, right? Or he just truly likes the car.
He says he never wants to sell it.
I don't think there's a problem with that car. The 570 was my favorite McLaren ever made. I've rented 50 plus of them, and they've really never broke. Right, and the 600 LT is like the best version of the 570, right? And at sub 200, that's make sure it has a roof scoop. That's a really big. I think it's very
Spider.
pinnacle.
I don't want the Spider.
But don't they have like the half scoop that comes up or something like that?
Not on the Spider.
No, I guess I'm thinking of.
And the roof scoop cars go for like 280.
Yeah,
Huge
not crazy.
premium.
Yeah, the premium.
That's Wysock for McLaren. One $10,000 scoop option, $12,000 scoop option, 77 times more.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He was telling us it was like 68 grand from the factory.
Oh, was it really?
He had to get an option.
He had to get an option
Oh.
to option that.
Yeah.
And both options combined were 68 grand.
Wow.
In order to get the roof
Something
scoop.
stupid, yeah.
That's
Something
And
crazy.
now they charge, like an 80 grand premium to get that car, to get a roof scoop car in secondhand. What are you looking at next?
Well, I think the final edition of the Jesco would be probably something that I would want to match the final edition of the Agera, right? I think I'm going to sell almost every other car I have. I have a Huracan that I built is an STO. The original engine for my Alpha car was an engine that I built with a guy that passed away. His name was Taylor from Dallas Performance. I spent a small-sized house on developing a reverse fire crankshaft for the 5.2 because I hated the way that thing sounded so much. I wanted it to sound like the 5.0. So I reversed the firing order of the 5.2, and I did it. I created new cams, new firing order, new crank, new everything, and I was going to put that in my Hypercar. So it was going to be an even firing Huracan motor that made close to 2,000 horsepower. When in 2019, when I was building this thing, 2,000 was like a real big number. Now the number is like 3,500, but I have that motor and I put it in my STO, and I put a Graziano 6-speed manual in the car. So it's a 6-speed manual car. It can do 2,800 horsepower if I wanted to. I've got it right now taken apart, but I'll probably set it at like 1,800. It's all-wheel drive. And I think I'm just going to finish that car and have that as like I would call it toy project, right? Mm-hmm. I think that car's cost me almost as much as a Bugatti, So I really can't sell it because it's just not worth it, right? I would just be taking a bath for no reason. I'm going to keep that car. I have one manual Mercy that I'll probably keep, like a 640.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool car.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to keep. I sold my factory cars because I've owned up to 4. I've owned 4 factory cars out of the 23. I was always buying like the worst examples of those ones and selling them. And
you and Ed?
Yeah. Me and Ed have a very similar car taste sometimes, but the conversions are pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, I converted one with OEM parts. It's the same thing, right? It's just the secret to the ECUs is really not a secret. It's hilarious. Everybody was like, I was like it was funny because I thought it was like so stupid how everybody was like gatekeeping it for so long. Like, oh, it could never be done. It could never be done. And I was like, people are saying this because it's that simple, right? Like overemphasizing how hard it was means that it was so easy, right? And it really was. And so off camera, I'll tell you, because all these like people doing conversions, they're all mad about it. Because like, I don't know if you noticed, but like 5 companies announced they were doing conversions all at the same time in the same week, and everybody finished it all at the same time. No coincidence there.
It got leaked. One
guy accidentally was drunk and said too much, and then bang, everybody's like, "That's it!
Yeah.
Oh my god!" Super funny. But I think I'll keep that car. One manual V12, and
great option to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you spend so much money on a car like this car right here, and what would make me go into my garage and choose something else? Like I don't drive a supercar every day. Right? Like I have a Raptor R, and I mean,
you have a Raptor R?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's just, I don't want to look, I daily drove a Phantom EWB for 30,000 miles. And for me, that's quite a bit, right? It's the only car I registered twice. Okay. I've barely ever registered a car once, re-register it. And I did this one twice. I love that car. It was like my soulmate, dude. It's like the perfect balance.
I understand.
Crazy to just ultra comfort smooth.
Yeah.
But I didn't really the economy's changing so much, and I just didn't really want to be like that flashy every day. Like I still, have one of those cars that I like to drive on Sundays with my kids. We go to breakfast, and it's like a special thing, But to drive every day, like that Ford truck is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I haven't driven a normal car in a very long time. I mean, it's been probably 10 years that I've had like a regular car that wasn't super wild for my normal car. Mm-hmm. My S63 was always like the basic one, but then I painted it purple with orange interior, so that we're not doing that.
Don't think my reaction as a negative thing. We've had literally like I don't even fucking know, like 4 out of 4 of our most previous guests were literally like Raptor R, Raptor R, Raptor R, Raptor R. So that's all I've heard is the best things about that.
Mine's
truck.
all like wildly modded, Yeah. Put like crazy money into those cars. It's just so expensive.
Yeah,
it's like a car's like 130 grand, and then you like
dump another 100 into
this. I put my sound system in the car's 48 grand. I'm like, well, that's a package. You just click on this guy's website in Tennessee, and it's just like, bam, $48,000 package for Raptor R. I'm like, it's 50% of the car.
Josh said their average Raptor R tickets are 70 to 100 grand.
I believe it.
And he said 9 out of 10 of the collectors. He said 9 out of 10 of these collectors have a Raptor R.
And like I said, the reason for me is I just like the incognito, like look on a daily, go to the gas station, right. When you drive this car to the gas station, it's like a lot, dude.
I can imagine.
It's a lot. I don't go there anymore. I
wouldn't.
There's a company called One Ethanol.
Yeah, you should send the fuel.
55-gallon barrel of fuel. I got one at the office. I got one at the house. Got a little pump. No disrespect to anybody. I love people, and I will talk cars with anybody, anywhere, anytime. I don't care who you are. You could be homeless or at the Quail in Monterey. Doesn't matter to me. But it does take a lot out of your day, right?
Yeah.
Those conversations aren't like, hey, nice car, man. It's like 30 minutes, right? 40 minutes sometimes. You know, that's kind of a lot, right?
For
In
sure.
the Raptor R, unless they got like tap out socks up to half their knees, that's not happening.
Right.
You know, unless they're like broed out, the Raptor R goes sit in the gas station, you put gas in it, and keep on going.
And that's probably more likely of a nice car, nice truck, sick truck.
The
sick
Raptor
truck,
R is
bro.
pretty chill, you know?
It's not, oh my gosh, what is this thing?
Exactly.
Where is this thing
And then
even
when you start to
from?
say Koenigsegg, they're like, what is that?
Koenigsegg?
You know, people are like, man, that's a really nice Bugatti. I'm like, dude, it really is. It's a very good one.
It's fucking amazing.
I just agree to them all the time. But yeah, I think the evolution of that car, like I'd like to stick with one brand and just kind of, because, you know, you're joining a family, right? You know, if you do Lamborghini, you're in the Lamborghini club. And if you do one brand, you got to stay there. And you got to like, you know, utilize your resources, your friend group, your drive time, because you don't get to drive the cars often. I mean, I'm still working. So I have to go to work every day. And so that time it's very valuable, right? If you're like retired, like a couple of these Koenigsegg guys who sell their companies, they're just like, hey, when's the next rally? Oh, next weekend? I can do that. You know, like me, I'm like, bro, I need like 6 months, man. Like I'm exhausted. I gotta go here. I gotta go here. You know, it's like, you can't make it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm over cars, to be honest with you. I really don't like them anymore. Yeah. I'm like excited to get something new.
He went full fucking circle.
Yeah. For
Super
real.
full circle.
Just
It happens-
spend more time in the Exige.
It happens to everybody. It does. I would love to. I would rather drive an Exige than this Koenigsegg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not serious.
I would. And it's the factor is that this costs more money than my house. Number one, right? I'm not like nervous, but I have my rear view camera on full time, and I'm just looking. I'm looking forward and looking backward. I'm so conscious of the surroundings. I don't enjoy it. Right? I drive this car 99% of the time, unless I'm going to like some specific car show. I drive this car between 5 and 7 in the morning. I wake up, you know, as early as I can, you know, 4:30, 5 o'clock, get up, get ready, and I go and drive. I want it to be just a little bit dark outside, sun coming up, so it's not in my eyes, right? Like, perfect time to drive it. Nobody on the road. That's when I enjoy it. Because other than that, you can't. I cannot drive this car right now to the Bellagio and enjoy that experience. And then when I get to the Bellagio, what happens next?
Get mobbed.
Not only do you get mobbed, but you cannot park it with valet because they don't give a fuck about your car. They're gonna put it in the open area, you know, the $100 or $200, park it up front. With this car, I'm like, yo, I will pay you $200. Let me park it in the garage, and I'll go back and get it when I'm out. That's what I do. I want it to be hidden.
Yeah.
Because you come back and there's people sitting on the fucking car.
Yeah.
And the valet is like, oh, get off. And what? They don't care, right? It's not their car.
We had
you
a
know?
friend tell us that they walked out from dinner, and valet was letting someone sit in their car.
Oh, I believe it. What, the guy makes what, $10 an hour? He doesn't care.
Yeah,
he probably got
sure.
$100 to let him sit in that car. This is whole day's worth of pay. And if you didn't come out at the exact moment, he gets away with the scot-free.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, just think about that, you know?
It's crazy.
I mean, look, everybody's going to go through these experiences, right? But if I had that Lotus, I would drive it. I'd pull over. I'd curb a wheel. I wouldn't give a fuck. You know how much it cost more than a Lotus if
Yeah.
I curbed that wheel?
Yeah, I know.
I could buy a Lotus for a curbed wheel on this car.
You can play bumper cars with the Lotus.
I could.
Yeah. The
And
clams
you know
are
what?
expensive to replace, but
They
that's
are,
about it.
but it would not bother me.
Yeah.
And I would drive it all the time. It would brake. I wouldn't care. It's a Toyota. It doesn't make a difference, right? I think I kind of want to go back to that, right? I don't want to get rid of this car.
Yeah.
But I get why the guys that own these cars don't drive them anymore, you know? And if they do drive them, you don't see it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. Like, I vowed to not make YouTube videos of this car because I did it with my other Agera, and it hurt my resale value. No one wanted it because it was my car, right? And like, you
Yeah,
know,
just
James
figured you abused it.
happens to just be more popular than me, which is great for him because now it's his car and no one remembers that it was my car just because he's way more popular, right? And that works in his favor. But now when he sells that, unless it's a super fan,
Yeah.
who's buying that car from James, right? And we had this conversation. Who was going to buy that car from you? Only someone who knows that Koenigsegg will rebody, repaint, redo it. Another Koenigsegg owner will buy that car to do a special project with.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes
And which I
sense.
think is so cool.
Yeah.
I want that to happen because it like reinvigorates the old stuff. But bro, at the end of the day, like I don't see the allure anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Understood.
What point did you think you lost that allure?
When I got the car that I wanted, when I finally bought my first Koenigsegg, when I bought the CCX.
That's when it happened.
I mean, I bought the Veyron when I was like 25, 27, something like that. And I bought the Veyron for marketing, right? I didn't buy it because I could afford it, right? I bought that car to build Royalty's brand, to do videos with it. That was a tool to build my business. That wasn't my car. My name was on the registration, but that was not my car, right? That car was sole purpose to build my business, right? When I bought the CCX, that was my fucking car. I cried when I bought that car. I swear to God. I cry now thinking about me selling that car. I don't know why I did that. I paid $900,000 for that car. And to think about it today, a manual Koenigsegg, right? Unbelievable, $900,000, less than $1 million, you know? They couldn't give that car away. And I sold it to my friend Randy for a little while. He really never bought it. He just made like 3 payments on it, and then he gave it back to me because he just kind of wanted it for content as well, right? He bought it. His wire was in service. It was a weird situation. I got that car back, and then at that point I was in it because he gave me $30,000 3 times. I was in it for $800,000, right? So I don't know why. I don't know what I did, but I was so nervous when I drive that car everywhere. I mean, I drove it like a badass. I was doing donuts in it. I loved it, but like I was in a world where I shouldn't have been. You know, I was hanging out with people I shouldn't have been hanging out with. You know, they were too successful, and it made me different. It made me want to be them. It made me want to be like there. I felt I had the skill set to get to that point, right? So my life was like consumed. So then I started this big business with the chicken, and that car changed the course of my whole thought process, right? And I should have never got there, you know, because the Bugatti never did, right? I thought it was really cool to drive Bugatti, you know. It's like, this is a big name, you know.
Right.
But like when I drove that car, like it didn't mean anything to me, you know. And that's kind of the funny thing. Like my personal Bugatti, the one I rebuilt, the flood car, right? Like I've changed everything about the car. I changed every single thing. There's not a factory piece on the car now. I mean, let me rephrase. I've touched every factory piece and I've remade it my own. You know, I've changed all the leather. I've changed all the interior panels, you know, the paint, and I powder coated the whole aluminum chassis black. I straight piped it. I did turbos on it, all the stuff. You know how many times I've driven that car?
How many?
This many times.
Really?
My mechanic has driven that car 260 miles on the dyno, and I have never driven it on public roads to like go drive it down the street because I do not care. I don't want to drive that car. I really don't want to sell it either, but I don't want to drive it. I just
That's
don't
a conflict.
care. It sucks.
Yeah.
And that all changed with that CCX. You know, it's too much responsibility. You know,
It doesn't become a car anymore.
no, it changes your life. I can prove to you that I could buy 10 more of these. But why do I want to do that? I don't want to do that. Like I want to go home at 3:00 or every day and pick up my kids from school. If I have to buy another one of these cars, I cannot do that. There's no waking up at 3:00 in the morning. I don't care what Instagrammer says that shit. That's not real. Nobody wakes up at 3:00 in the morning, goes to the gym, does like all this crazy list of shit and eats this and eggs, and people don't live like that. Okay? They might want to live like that if they're getting paid to live like that, right? Because that's what those influencer guys do. They get paid to live like that. But normal people can't operate at that temperature with a wife, a mom, a dad, brother, sister, their schedules, your kids and school and responsibilities, right? So I have to go to work, and then when I'm done working, I have to be a dad. You don't buy these cars if you have that schedule. You only buy these cars when your schedule goes like this, work, right? And then even when you're at home, you're working. You're just at a different place. So that's the problem, you know, and that's when it changes. So,
That's the realest fucking answer possible.
Yeah.
yeah.
You want to rip the questions?
Let's do it. I think that's a perfect cap to rip the
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, for real. So we got 3 quick questions. Every guest gets. So we'll see what you think. What's the most overrated car today? It's question number 1 for everyone.
Huracan.
Huracan.
Why?
It's just a regular car now.
Yeah.
It's just a regular car.
What if you're in Indiana? It's kind of cool there, right?
I think the internet's worldwide, dude.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in Indiana, your social media profile is still in California. You know,
I think you get a reaction still.
Right.
Like you see it in person in Indiana, you'll get like, hey, but nobody's like sucking.
I mean,
each other
car
up.
people, you're getting that stuff. But like Susan from Indiana, her For You page is not cars.
Susan from Indiana is also impressed by a 911 Porsche from 1965. Okay, doesn't matter what Susan from Indiana thinks. Nobody's buying a Huracan for Susan for Indiana to be like, oh, nice car, man. It's because their friends drive M3s, and they're trying to be the first person to get out of it. So usually that's R35 or AMG GTR. But the guy that goes up and gets that Huracan because he's got really good credit and he figured it out when he was 18 years old and he got the secret sauce, that's why it's overrated.
Yeah.
Because anybody can go and buy that car today. You can drive a Huracan for less than $3,000 a month with $25,000 down. This might sound like a lot of money for Susan from Indiana, okay? But that is not a lot of money when you're comparing that a Range Rover, right? Regular Range Rover, 130,000 MSRP costs the same.
Yeah.
Huracan.
It's very fucking true.
You sound like PJ. I think he literally posted the same thing like yesterday.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the most? Go ahead.
What other answers do you get to that question?
Overrated?
Yeah.
GT3 RS is the cake. That is the pinnacle.
That's just because it's too expensive.
Correct.
SVJ has been picking up steam
Yeah. That's recently. That's been
recently,
the answer.
like really recently.
Don't forget that in 2018, SVJs were 100 back of sticker. Sorry, 2020, SVJs were 100 back of sticker. They were like 7, 8 of them at the dealer. Like when they came out in 19 and 20, they're all sitting there. Nobody wanted one.
Now
I don't know what
everyone wants
happened, but someone hit the switch and were like, "Hey, these cars are cool," and then they were $1 million. They're expensive cars that are not valued at the price. That would be a good overrated example, but I think it's deeper than that.
I'm trying to think what the answer before.
Alex Cantani hit the scene. All of a sudden, they're ripping down with the F1 exhaust and all over Instagram.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he just copied Brilliant. No discredit to Alex. He marketed to his customers in California, and that's where he made his money. Me and Alex are friends. I can say that to his face, but he didn't invent some secret sauce.
No,
He changed the pipe diameter.
I don't even think he said it.
And stainless steel later.
Yeah.
We had him on, and he said that he didn't do it first. Well, he said he got it from Japan, basically.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who did it.
Yeah. Oh, that was the name that
That's
you
the
dropped?
company of the exhaust. Brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
That guy is like the secret sauce for sound.
Okay. So I think he'd be fine with you saying that because I'm pretty sure he said that about himself
Yeah.
when he was sitting in that chair. So,
Uber and Lyft.
yeah. But
No one knows what Brilliant is.
I don't feel like,
Everybody knows what Cantani is.
yeah, the Huracan has been a couple times. SVJ has been a couple times now.
What is your answer?
GT3 RS has been a couple times. The base 911 Carrera is my answer.
Okay.
150 grand for that car. Blows me
Really
away.
good answer. Yeah. I would say probably I'm right around. I'm still GT3 RS on that one, just because until it gets down to where it should be, that car does not. I don't think that car should be over 280.
They're not.
Exactly.
They're like 270.
Yeah. So that's what
people just play the Kool-Aid game, and they're like, "There's another one coming. I need to get on that list."
Porsche has the fattest cup of Kool-Aid that anyone.
Yeah. Oh my God.
ever
That
poured.
people who drink that Kool-Aid, they drink
Ferrari
that thing.
Ferrari and Porsche seem to have the Kool-Aid game situated pretty well.
Fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah. They pour they pour double the scoop.
Yeah, there's a
Next question.
What's the most underrated car?
Lotus Exige, 100%,
Such a shit answer.
100%.
If you want to know why, play back the episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of answers to that question. I think the Lotus is just underrated because it's like the OG supercar that costs like $40,000. So I think all the Huracan boys out there that are trying to get these cool cars should go get a Lotus first, learn how to drive, and then figure out what they want to do next. Right? I think that's why it's underrated because it's more of a lifestyle choice. Lightweight manual car. Get anybody that's in a Huracan right now that's got a wide body Liberty Walk kit on it or some VF supercharger or whatever, Gentani exhaust. And I swear to God, 55, 60% of them couldn't even turn the fucking Lotus on. They wouldn't even know how to push the clutch pedal in. They wouldn't know.
They also wouldn't know the sequence. You got to hit the fob.
Of course.
Got to hit the button.
Besides that, they wouldn't know how to drive the car.
Yeah.
You
You're
know?
right.
So learn to drive, then become a car guy.
Good advice.
It's a good answer. It's fair.
Last question. you started it because you said if you had 5 cars, but now you only have 3 cars with no budget at all. 3 cars for everything. That's all you get.
Some form of S63 for a daily driver,
Yeah.
the Agera RS, and it would be really hard for me to pick between a LaFerrari and a Chiron Pure Sport. I don't know.
That's a pretty insane garage. Do you like the new S63, the brand new ones?
No.
No?
The one I have is a 9-speed wet clutch transmission, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
The new one's cool too, but it's hybrid. I just don't like the way they look. I like the little thingy, you know?
Yeah.
The old school one. Well, old school being 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Super old school.
Yeah.
One
One
generation.
generation.
Old school. Exactly.
Yeah, they're gonna change that body style next year, or the interior, and go to the full screen. So that'll be cool.
It'll look a
They
lot
don't
better
like,
at that
I don't
point.
like that one.
Yeah.
you know, but it's really hard to pick 3 cars.
It's very hard,
Yeah.
especially when you've already got way more than that. You got to
Yeah.
whittle it down.
Yeah, I mean, if I really picked those 3 cars for real, they'd be 3 Koenigsegg's.
Yeah.
Financial reasons, you know, that's like picking Bitcoin 3 times.
Right.
Right. I just know they're gonna go up, you know, and I
Yeah.
know they're gonna give me a good time. Right.
Is Koenigsegg the best bet in the hypercar for value appreciation, you think?
Right now, yeah. I think the Zonda already hit its kick. McLaren already hit its kick with the F1, right? The only one that really hasn't risen. I mean, the CCXs went from 800,000 to 900,000 to like 2.5 to 3 million, right? But the CCXs are so few of them that they're all kind of in like this little like little crew, and they're doing the whole raise the price themselves. I don't think the market naturally went up, right? I think it was artificial. But when you look at Koenigsegg, the Jesko is going to be, if the Jesko is a success as it is, right? If it's reliable and it's fast and it hits the records and everything is like this from 2018, Koenigsegg will be the top, the king, the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
Pagani's not making a car that's going to bring the Huayra up. The Utopia was a setback. I feel like the Utopia was designed after the Zonda, and then the Huayra was designed after the Utopia. They did it backwards. They released the Huayra first, and then the Utopia was just like, no, we're scrapping that project. Had to make a new car, and we're like, this is what we got. I don't hate the Utopia. I just think it only looks good from individual angles, not as a whole, right?
Yeah.
So what's next for Pagani?
You got the right spec on it,
They've
too.
got 10 years of Utopia probably, because they've done about 10 years of Huayra.
Right.
So it's not going to pull the Zonda $40 million. Who's next, right? The Veyron could go up, but the stigma of owning a Bugatti Veyron has always been like, it's too expensive. The tires, it just doesn't make sense. The media ruined that car.
Go buy some aftermarket wheels.
Yeah, well, of course, but I mean, there's a point to when Bugatti's going to run out of those tires that they had in stock or they have available, and they're just going to say, okay, cool, the Chiron wheel is now good for the Veyron, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same size, same bolt pattern, same everything. Or they make like a Veyron successor wheel, right? Because it's warranty related.
Right.
In order to pay your $55,000 a year for warranty, you got to put the tires on it, which are $38,000, and then the wheels are every 2 times. So it's a racket, right? It's just the way it is. When they rearrange that, the Veyron could see a rise. But like the Tourbillon is going to lower the price of the Chiron, I think, because there's the production, right? If there was 100 Tourbillons and they were 10 million, well, that's a little high, but like 5 million, 6 million, right? Then the Chiron would go up. But there's potentially like 800 Tourbillons and they're 4 million. So the Chiron's going to go down.
Yeah.
So who's going up? Just Koenigsegg. I mean,
Yeah.
the Centenarios aren't going up.
No.
The Sions aren't going up, right?
The rebodied Aventador.
The LaFerrari could go up because, but it's already $4.5 million.
It's crazy.
That's quite a bit when they used to sit at 2. So if they go to 5.5, I could see that. But it's just a lot of car. 800 people are buying the F80. That's a lot of people, right? So a lot of people 800 people don't have the ability to keep both cars. And it was semi-requirement to have a stable of Ferraris to get the F80, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a LaFerrari and your F80's coming in, if you're a billionaire, sure, keep them all. But if you're not a billionaire and you really need to have like one car, your F80 gets stamped production and boom, the LaFerrari's gone. I got to get ready to pay for the next one. That's the McLaren situation. 900 Senna owners had to get their, W1s and this and that. So what happens to those cars? They just get regurgitated back into the market. The big boys don't have all the money in the world, contrary to belief.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when you're talking about stacking multiple $4 or $5 million cars over and over again.
Yeah, they also have their
everything.
houses, their staff, their yachts, their planes.
Everything else.
Yeah.
Their families.
Everything went up.
Yeah.
Those guys could live paycheck to paycheck too, just at different levels.
don't wanna carry a $40 million
different game.
garage.
A different game.
Yeah. Dude, I know people that have $1 million personal overheads and they barely have anything. A couple nice cars, a plane, and a boat. It's a staff for their 2-3 houses, school teachers. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, you could burn $15-20 million a year like this, you know, and not even really push the envelope, you know?
Yeah, the scale's crazy.
Like, it's not like the movies, right? Where you know, like, I don't know if you heard the story with Dana White. He's on his, you know, he rented that crazy $4 million a week yacht. He took a helicopter to his Gulf Stream where he flew to the Trump rally in like Minnesota, spoke, and then flew back and then did all this stuff and landed on the yacht with his helicopter, just with his family. That's like the movies, right? Like, that's like what you would expect a billionaire's life to be. A lot of these guys don't live like that. You know, they just have a lot of debt and a lot of shit, right? And all their money's in the stock market. 20% correction, they're broke. You know, they got no cash flow left. So, you know, that's why the car market of the millions is so temperamental. You know, you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, I think you dropped a lot of insight. So,
I'm just rolling negative.
I fucking love it.
well, we appreciate it. This has been an
real.
incredible episode.
Thank you for
So,
taking time out of your day, sitting down and chopping it up with us.
Yes, this has been amazing. Can you drop your handles so everyone knows where to find you?
They
At
can
Houston
find me.
Crosta.
They can find me.
Go
You know?
fuck yourself.
I'm not necessarily looking for new followers. You know, my socials are closed right now.
I'm gonna say he's made a video in 3 months. These clips are about to blow his ass up again.
Yeah, please. Just mute my name, you know?
Yeah,
I should have wore sunglasses and a mask or something.
and giving you a voice distortion.
Well, that'd have been great.
In that case, thanks even more. We appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Well, you guys are welcome here anytime.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go drive his Koenigsegg. We'll see you guys next time. Out.
We're out.